Why do I feel like I linger? Linger between the words to say the words to remember. Now we're here to take control over your body and over your soul. We're gonna take back everything and lose it all. Lose it all. Lose it all. Feel it in your arms. Feel it in your legs. Feel it on your fingertips and feel it in your head. Just let your body go. Just let your body go. Just let your body go and move to the rhythm. Now we won't go back home today, until the very last hour. We still got a few more days to slay, It's gonna get so much louder. Now we're here to take control over your body and over your soul. We're gonna take back everything and lose it all. Lose it all. Lose it all. Feel it in your arms. Feel it in your legs. Feel it on your fingertips and feel it in your head. Just let your body go. Just let your body go. Just let your body go and move to the rhythm. I wonder what went wrong today, Why do I feel like I linger? Linger between the words you say, To say the words you remember.
Messing with my head again. You had your heart set on me, but these feels they come and go, and they come so easily.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to week 6 of the European University Rocketers Championship. There's 12 teams left in the competition, and there's only going to be 10 by the end of the night. So taking you through the action today is me, Sigurd, and I'm joined by Ryan. Do you want to introduce yourself first?
Oh, hello. Yes, I'm Ryan. Hi. I didn't realise I was being prompted there.
And we're also joined by Sath from Salford and Hyperia from the Netherlands.
Hello.
Hello. Everyone. So, yeah. First match for night is GA Fairplay Martini, one of your very close to home teams, Hyperia, and the Salford Lions. So it's funny we also have someone from Salford on the desk to talk this through. Now, just going to start with you, Hyperia. Martini have had a rough time in playoffs so far. Do you think maybe they were slightly overrated heading into playoffs?
I wouldn't say overrated. I mean, I only just today found out where Salford actually lies, and it appears that it's, well, not really Salford, but I don't think they're overrated. I just think that they haven't really been able to combine with the pressure that's currently on them in European competition. All of a sudden, they're up against the really top teams and people who also know how to play together, whereas that wasn't really the case in the Dutch scene. So now being put in that position, that puts a little bit of pressure on them and they get demoralized a little bit. But I do have faith that they might just be able to pull through today.
Okay, that's good to know. Now, Saf, Salford have been on a bit of a run in EURC lately. So how do you think they're doing tonight?
Oh, I thought you were going to be
Oh
talking
no, I
about
wasn't going to rub in
brackets,
your loss
but-
on Saturday just yet.
Well, I guess you can't even really compare that anymore because this team's got Aaron instead of Camo. But going off what the Newell team did, which I mean, they did what they could have done without scrimming at all or watching replays. So, you know, I expect them to do better than in Newell because they sort of threw, and I had to get the belt out then. But hopefully they don't.
So Orion, we've heard the opinions of our two pundits. How do you think this one's going to go down? Not asking for a scoreline yet because we've not reached that point. But,
yeah, obviously. It'll be interesting. I think Salford, you know, they have kind of lost their heads a little bit recently. They didn't look great in Newell, and honestly, even with their full roster, they didn't look good against Bournemouth either in that grand final only 2 days ago. I really think that, you know, if Martinis get some momentum behind them early on, then I think the heads will just go for Salford again. So I do worry about that. But I think if they can manage to get some games under their belt early on, take the first, second game, then I think that they can build back. You know, I think the key thing that Salford need right now is confidence. And if that's lacking, then I'm really worried for them.
confidence is key for Salford, according to Orion. Now, we've got two other games this evening, of course. I believe next up we've got the Bournemouth Barracudas against Tilburg United. Of course, don't have RW Dragon on the desk to defend them, but are we confident they have a roster today? Can anyone actually confirm this?
No. No is the answer.
Nobody knows.
We have no idea if Bournemouth are going to show up or not. I would err on the side that they would. You know, given their recent performance, they looked about as good as any UK team has ever looked over the kind of inception of UK University Rocket League in their championship winning match on Saturday. So if they don't show up now, it would be quite questionable, shall we say. Like, in their current form, they have a real chance of making it all the way to that grand final and honestly even challenging the likes of Berlin Phoenix.
That's some pretty high expectations, given Berlin Phoenix have yet to drop a game without being asked. Now, Hytheria, coming back to you for the Dutch team once again. Tilburg have been on a bit of a tear recently. Is this a step too far for them?
Nothing is too far for the boys. I feel like I'm always the hype man for all the Dutch teams. That's the only reason I'm brought in, just so I can hype the Dutch teams up a little bit against this pretty much full English panel. But I do think that it's going to be an amazing match if Bournemouth do actually manage to show up. That's usually the first step you want to take. But it's going to be very interesting. A team that has been in amazing form against a team that, well, is really on the come up and also has had that amazing form in the form of Tilburg United. So it's going to be a really interesting match to see how that kind of unfolds. And I think at that point, earlier on, you could kind of say for Tilburg, it wasn't really that real. You know, the results they were getting weren't that amazing. Yes, they 4-0'd the Apes and they 4-0'd the Groningen team, Mojitos, but at the same time, they weren't really the most consistent parts of EURC, and I think Bournemouth will be their real first challenge.
Okay. Now, I think we've covered enough of that second game of the night. Of course, the last game of the night is a big one. Upper semi-final, Erasmus and Portsmouth fighting for a place in the top three. Saf, how do you think that one's going to pan out?
I have absolutely no clue because I don't watch either of them.
So,
totally
thank you,
honest.
Saf.
Fair enough. I wish
back
I
to
could
you.
do that more often.
Back to you then, Hyperia. I imagine you're probably going to be supporting Erasmus, but are you going to give any credit to Portsmouth?
Nah, I don't watch them either, mate. Sorry, Portsmouth. I've never heard of them before. It's going to be interesting. Erasmus. I've said it last week as well. They sometimes have trouble showing consistency, but if they do manage to show up properly, they're going to really bring the match to Portsmouth here.
Okay, now we've run through the entire schedule for this evening, just 3 tonight. Now, back to the game at hand. It's predictions time, gentlemen. Orion, I'm going to start off by asking you, which way do you think it's going to go, Salford or Martini?
All right, I'm going to make a bit of a complicated prediction. If Martinis take the first 2 games, they win the series. If Salford take the first 2 games, they win the series. If it's 1-1, game 7.
So
I don't know.
Who wins game 7?
Martinis win.
Okay, so Martinis win in game 7, or if they take the first 2 games.
Yes.
Saf, I have a feeling I know which way this is going, but who do you think is going to win?
That's not even close. It's going to be Salford.
Yeah, I expected so. And Hyperia, to round up the panel.
I'm gonna kind of go Orion's way, where I think that if Martini manage to win 4 games first, they'll win, and if Salford manage to win 4 games first, then Salford will win. But it's a really close one, but I'm going to go with Martini here.
Okay. Now that means it's come back around to me, which is slightly awkward because I feel like this is going to be a really, really close one. Salford's knocked my beloved Loughborough out, so I'm kind of hoping they go on to make a deep run just to show that we could do the same. So Salford, and I'm going to say 4-2 over Martin. Oh, yeah, I believe Salford 4-2. Now that's all the time we've got on the desk, so I'm going to throw you over to Dennis and Ryan on the other side. We'll see you in a little while, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I think we can just start off this series. You know, a really good series we are about to go see here between, of course, Groningen and Salford. Groningen from behind, the highest point of Netherlands, actually, Groningen against Salford. So you already gave a prediction, and you know, could you maybe say a little bit, more about the prediction? You said, whoever takes the first 2 games is going to win that series. But why, Orion? Why do you say the team that wins the first 2 games is going to win the series as well?
I think it just all depends on the mental game of Salford. They've taken 2 huge knocks recently. They lost the Newell final in emphatic fashion to Loughborough, and then they lost the NSE final, losing 5 games in a row to Bournemouth. So their kind of mental game right now is really kind of going to be the factor that decides whether they're going to be winning in this EURC bracket. And so I think, if they can take those first 2 games, then, it's kind of a regain. It's a confidence booster. We are still a good team. We can still do this. And I think that they would take the series if they took those first 2. But I think if Martinis take the first 2, then Salford are just going to think, it's more of the same again. We've already lost, and they're just going to have their heads in their hands. And I think it will just go downhill from there.
Yeah, so you think momentum is going to play a big part in the series. So what we're going to see, of course, is the game number 1, this best of 7. Orion, take it away.
Yeah, well, we have a best of 7 now. Salford are no stranger to these days, but no, they might get a kickoff goal here. Zico actually going to miss that one, unfortunately. It's Aaron in control, but Rebel coming back with no boost, able to get a touch away and into the midfield to Zico now, puts that one into the corner. Can he get one centered? Yes, he can, off the backboard. Here comes Muskie, not able to make contact. Arton in the corner looking for something into the midfield. Arton didn't have the best series in that grand final, but I think it did come down a lot to pressure. This isn't a grand final now. They are kind of into a more calm scenario, so potentially Arton might have a bit more confidence than he did on Saturday.
Well, yeah, you're talking about confidence, but you're all playing in the lower bracket. It's always a little bit of some kind of playing in the lower bracket. Of course, both teams, they really love to be there in the upper bracket, but unfortunately for them, they can't be there. And of course, the one who loses here is going to be out of the EURC, of course, in the lower bracket. And we have seen, the Groningen team playing really, really well in league play actually, and becoming first of their table. Of their group. In the end, they got beat by, I think it was Basilisk. But as I speak, it will be Groningen seeing go against themselves for taking the win here, while taking the lead here with 1 minute played.
Yeah, a bit of a shaky defense there. Rebel wasn't able to challenge that one early, and Aaron reading it beautifully off the corner, getting Salford on the board first here with just over a minute gone. They might concede a kickoff goal here. It's around the other side of Jiggy, not able to get there, but thankfully off the woodwork on that Salford net. It's Muskie now trying to make something work, but he's made it very awkward for himself and forced into that 50-50. Rebel might look for a flip reset here. Actually keeps his flip. I didn't think he had his flip for that long. Was almost able to make something work there. Here comes Jiggy on that right-hand side. Was he able to make contact with this one? Yes, but no teammates from Salford there. We definitely saw this on Saturday as well, where Salford were just that little bit too far away from the ball, and when opportunities presented themselves, they just weren't taking them.
Yeah, well, right now we all seen Salford, of course they have that 1-goal lead, but definitely they could have made it 2 here because they definitely had their chances already. Now we see a little bit of
way.
Oh, top corner as well, Muskie. What a way to score the first goal for Groningen there.
Muskie, it even rhymes with musty. That is a beautiful mechanical play, top corner shot, and out of absolutely nowhere. They've evened things up here. What an inspired play that was by Muskie.
Yeah, we're already seeing, in game chats as well, you viewers, you can't see it, but we are already seeing, the players talking about the brother of Musty. Well, Musty. Close enough, in the play as well, because we've just seen, an incredible Musty there from Muskie, equalizing here in this game number 1, and, you can't do it in a better fashion than like he just did. Groningen equalizing in this game number 1. Really what they needed, pretty much half-time played, and they were pretty much under the pressure. But right now they have a big opportunity, a little bit of an overcommit. Will this be capitalized? Yeah, Zico will score. Will get a second for Groningen.
Yeah, great placement from Zico on that shot there. Saw that Aaron had to come back and make that save, and just tucks it in behind him. No one at the back post there for Salford, and they have thrown away that early 1-goal lead now. It is the Martinis that have now got the lead. We've still got halfway to go though, and with 3 goals already, this game is still wide open.
Yeah, definitely. Half time to go, and well, we saw a lead for Salford, but right now it is Groningen in the lead with only 1 goal, but definitely they will be taking it. And I think, they're playing a little bit more defensive now, but as I say that, it's no one in goal there. It's a great 50 from Jiggy, but I would have expected a little bit more from the Groningen defense there.
Yeah, sometimes it just happens with 50-50s. Muskie even backflipped that one. Probably could have, made that 50-50 a lot better and contested it, but unfortunately backflipping led to, I believe, Jiggy just managing to put that one into the net, and Martinis just weren't ready to defend there. Here comes Aaron with a pass over to Art, and can he slot this one in? Excellent save on the goal line. Oh, I thought the double save was going to come through. Rebel just flipping past that one, and now lead reversed once more. Salford back in front.
Yeah, it's goal after goal. It's such back and forth. We have seen Salford in the lead, then Groningen with a 1-goal lead, and now again we see Salford in the lead. And yeah, honestly, I thought it would be a double save as well there. Groningen really good in defense, but just not enough to get the ball out of the net. And well, 2 minutes to go. A lot of goals happening in this game, and definitely I can't say this will be a 5-goal game here, being 3-2 for Salford. I definitely think there'll come a lot more goals in this game, because that's just the flow of this game. A lot of goals being scored, and well, now definitely Groningen, they need to push forward. We have seen already they can do pretty well. We have seen the players of Groningen can produce something really good in offense, but that is not something good in offense. It will be something really bad in defense. Yet another defensive mistake there in the Groningen defense.
Oh, big whiff there, and crucially it faked out his teammate as well, who was pushing up with him, looking for that infield pass, and in committing for that, when that mistake came through, the net was wide open. So bit of an uncharacteristic whiff there. Maybe Groningen starting to feel the pressure a little bit, and they're on defense again here as Arten is going to boom one over the top, looking for Aaron. It's off the crossbar, not able to get himself over the top of that ball. Demolition onto Jiggy could launch a counter-attack hit for the Martinis. Rebel not able to wrap himself around that shot, and Jiggy pretty routine save in the end there.
And Groningen, they need to push forward. Well, not that much again, no one in defense, but that is an open net whiff. And now on the other side, Bobby Muskie with an open net. Will he score this time? Yes, he does. He is not going to make the mistake like his opponent did, and it will be, yet another 1-goal leader for Salford, but Bobby Martini, they're coming back, but that should have been 5 for Salford.
Oh, poor Salford and poor Aaron had the open net, hit the post, and immediately everyone on the pitch thought it was in, and when it bounced off the post, the immediate counter-attack from the Martinis. 3-4 scoreline. Now, they might be able to make it all even again here, although Jiggy at that front post is going to have a bit of defending to do, but it's almost turned behind Muskie there. That would have been an insane angle on that flick. Here's Jiggy once more trying to make something work. Muskie turns that one over to the side. Zico not able to get there in time, and the bump on Rebel from Arton. Aaron can't drop it down. There is Jiggy though, and they have a 2-goal cushion once more, Dennis.
Yeah, yet again, they're coming back here. 5 goals now. Again, that 2-goal lead, a little bit more comfortable for them with 47 seconds to go. No one there in defense really from Groningen going for that little bit awkward position. Then in the end, the offender this time will just score it, will just slot it home. And 47 seconds to go. I think, Salford, they might play a little bit more defensive now, not really giving everything in offense. They don't need to right now. Of course, game number 1, it's all in their hands right now. But they just have to defend the 2-goal lead. And definitely, if they just play a little bit more, solid, don't, miss those open nets, make those defensive mistakes, and definitely, well, I talk about defensive mistakes.
No.
It should be 4 for the Martinis, but in the end, Salford lies. There was a big defensive mistake, but in the end, still get out of the pressure there.
Well, that's 1 apiece now for awful open net misses, so you could say things have found a natural balance now, and it does look like Salford surviving that opportunity there for the Martinis to get back within 1 are going to take game 1, which is absolutely huge for them. I was talking about it before with their confidence, and that will be a real boost for them going forwards in the series, having that 1 game advantage now.
Yeah, the 1 game advantage, and of course you've said the first team that takes the first 2 games, they will be going to win the series. So do you think Salford Lions, they have it in them to take the 2nd game as well, and possibly take the series as well against the Martinis?
I don't know. I'm not sure yet. I think yeah, I really don't know. The first 2 games could go either way, to be honest with you. I was kind of surprised to see Salford win that. I thought when they went behind that they might have, just buried their heads in the sand and it would be Martinis from there. But no, they have done really well to win that first game, but it was close and they were making quite a few mistakes. So it really could come down to a couple of mistakes, and Martinis could quite easily take game 2. And my prediction was if it was 1 apiece after game 2, that we would go all the way to game 7.
Yeah, we're yet to see that, if it's going to a game 7, of course. If the Martinis win, well, if we have to follow your prediction, we are going to see a game number 7 in this series. But, definitely, it is a very close series. Definitely, both teams are really equal to each other here, of course. In the last 12 teams here in the EURC, you have to play for everything here. Of course, the lower bracket, the team that loses this series will be out. Definitely both teams, they just really want to take it. But Salford, they had a great start of this series, taking game number 1 of Groningen Martinis. They had a really, really good game there. But can we see another great game here from Salford as well in game number 2?
Yeah, well, they would certainly hope so. They might get a kick-off goal here. That's a brilliant save from Aaron onto his own crossbar there, denying the early opener from Martinis, and it is now Aaron at the other side. It's off the crossbar again. Zico getting a decent touch out. Jiggy looking for a pass into the midfield, but once again, no one from Salford there pushing high enough to commit for it. It just seems like on offense, they're not quite on the same wavelength, either that, or they're just that little bit scared of some pressure coming out from the Martinis and conceding. But if you want to score goals, you do kind of have to take those risks. And yes, in some instances they're calculated risks, but you've just got to have that confidence in you to go for it.
Yeah, definitely. We have seen some pressure from the Groningen side in this game so far. Definitely, all the pressure has been coming from the Martinis, actually. We haven't really seen any offense from the Salford Lions. Maybe this will be their first offense. But, like you said, definitely Salford Lions, they, at some point they need to get out of defense and trying to create some pressure on the Groningen defense. Well, right now, there's a little bit of pressure, but he's not going to reward them into a goal. It will be cleared out by Muskie. Has no boost anymore to work with Arton. Just takes it over. Rebel tries to get a pass to Muskie. Muskie onto the backboard. It's a little bit awkward position there by Jiggy. Can't get a touch on it, but that's not a great hit by Zico either. It will just be cleared away by Salford, and this time they will go away with it.
Oh, great demo there. Oh, Muskie, he went for the brief flip but couldn't get there. It was 2 demolitions coming out in quick succession. Left the net wide open, but no one from the Martinis was there to convert that early opportunity, and we stay scoreless here, 0-0.
Yeah, that was a big chance for the Martinis. Definitely Muskie. Yes, and I can't really say it's a clear open net. It's still, quite hard to pre-flick into that. Now he gets a great save. But, that definitely, it could have been one for Martini, but it is equal now because Salvo definitely could have taken that one as well. 2 minutes to go, still goal. Oh, that's a great fake by Rebel. Finishes it off as well, and that's a great goal by Rebel, individually played. And 3 minutes to go, a 1-goal lead by Martinis. Zico there with a pass to Rebel. Rebel fakes it out and then finished off really, really well.
Yeah, excellent play there from Martinis. Zico, don't think he had a lot of boost to his name, so chose to just throw that one over to Rebel, faked the first one, popped it over the second, was given too much time on those challenges there, and managed to convert beautifully. As you say, 1 goal now in favor of the Martinis, a much lower scoring affair, although it could start to change here as Arten is getting Salford on the board now to tie things up.
Yeah, well, of course, last game we have seen a really high-scoring game. Well, until this point, we haven't really seen a high-scoring game, just 2 goals just scored now, but maybe that is the start of a really eventful game. And Salford Lions, they were kind of under the pressure of the Martinis. Martinis couldn't really finish off the chances. Well, right now, they've scored 1, that was nearly 2, but definitely Salford Lions came back really well. Well, they have to do well in defense this time. Aaron will get a save, but it will still be the ball in front of their own goal as we see Zico trying to get the ball up to the backboard. All of them to go still in this game. Number 2 as the ball falls off the crossbar, and how has Groningen not scored yet another time? And now it will be Jiggy trying to get it into the open net, can't quite make it. That's a pass into the middle of the arts and with the shot, but will not be any danger for the Groningen defenders.
Yeah, a little bit nervous for Salford at the moment. They're really turtling up on defense when they're under pressure, and none of them have any boost in net. And then when they do get out of their own half, they're really overcommitting, and then they're forced back on defense to just try and avoid that counter-attack from the Martinis, which so far has proved so deadly. So Salford, they're really not playing to their strengths at the moment, which is, just fast, aggressive Rocket League. I've seen it all season from them, and it's worked so well, but this isn't the Salford that I'm used to seeing.
So far it is equalized, but definitely Groningen all the pressure, but now the pressure is coming from the Salford Lions offenders actually, but they can't get it into the goal. And this is really the game of, firing a lot of shots, and they're not even bad shots, but still the defenders are just doing a really, really good job. Definitely from the Salford Lions squad, because definitely I've seen some great saves from them. 8 saves compared to 2 of Groningen. We'll make that 3 now as Rebel just gets another save on his name. But, it is equalized. Only 2 goals in this game, and definitely I wouldn't expect more, but just the defenders are doing really well. Off the post. This time the post will be the biggest defender there for the Salford Lions, but it remains equalized, and, well, it can go anyway in this game number 2.
Yeah, and the longer we tick down, the closer we get to that kind of golden goal territory. Here comes Arten. Can he drop this one down? Beautiful shot. It's off the post again. Arten, he did everything right, but the accuracy not quite there. That one is very accurate. Can Aaron score it? Yes, he can. Bouncing all around the net. No one from Martini is able to get a touch, and Aaron launched himself at that one and managed to score it.
Yeah, after that first goal Salford scored, they really came back well, and they made a lot of pressure. They got a lot of pressure on the Groningen defenders, and, well, it rewarded them into a second goal. And now they're in the lead, actually. Again, a 1-goal lead, just like we've seen in game number 1 several times. And right now is the question, can they keep it, or can they maybe extend it? A demo on the goal of Groningen, pass to the right side, but no one there to follow it up really from Salford as Muskie tries to get a ball up, but no one there to follow. And really, the plays need to be better from Groningen if they still want to score in the upcoming 30 seconds. They still need 1 more, or otherwise they would lose Salford, taking this game number 2 as well.
Yeah, it really would be. Only 30 seconds left now for Martinis to find something. Here is Muskie in the midfield, but getting 50-50 by Arten, who is starting to, play that bit more confidently and play as we've seen him play throughout the season. He's been so good in that, not even really third man role. Like, all of Salford, they're just such a balanced team. But Arten is now starting to look a bit more comfortable, although I say that I thought that they might get scored on 0 seconds here. But Salford, they have taken the first 2 games now, and what I have done here is just a huge IQ play, because what I've done is I've predicted that Salford, if they win the first 2 games, they'll win the series. But I also predicted the Martinis to win the series in my actual prediction. So whatever happens now, I am right.
Right. I mean, that is just, you know, the caster predictions. It can't go wrong anymore for you. I mean, we have to see, you know, of course, both teams, they can still take it, but Salford taking a 2-game lead, which is, you know, it's huge here in the best of 7. They only need 2 more. And for the Martinis, they still need to win 4 times. And, you know, all I can see is really close. And the defense of Salford definitely has been a big part for them in this game number 2. You know, we are seeing 10 saves from their end against 5 of Groningen. So, you know, if the defense wasn't that good from Salford, they definitely wouldn't have won this game. It's only been a 1-goal game anyways, and you know, it definitely could have gone both ways. But in the end, a really good performance there from Salford, definitely in defense. And if they keep it going and, you know, score the chances they have, then definitely I can see them taking this game number 3 as well. Because, you know, the Martinis, they're good in offense, but if the Salford Lions are better in defense, then in the end you can't score against them, can you?
Yeah, exactly. It seemed like both teams' defense was a lot tighter and just better overall in that game, as it was still a very high shooting affair, but a very low scoring affair. We might get started off scoring early here. Everyone trying to pre-flip to get that one, not going to find it. Here comes Art, and actually going to back off for this one and let Zico take it with a touch over towards Muskie now. That one just floating on the sidewall. Art and trying to get a piece of it. Aaron committing his 3rd man there, managed to get the ball clear. If that one had 50-50, there was no one behind him there, and it really could have spelled disaster for Salford, but they remain composed here, and no early goal coming out just yet.
Yeah, not this time. Of course, in game number 2, we had to wait until like 2 minutes played until we saw the first goal of that game happening. So if the same stays here, then we still have to wait 1 minute. But Muskie tries to prevent that by going for the edge roll, but can't quite make anywhere close to the opponent's goal. Ball is just getting played to the left side. No one there really to follow it up, so Rebel has to go himself. A back pass there from Jiggy to Aaron. Aaron now in front of his own goal, needs to get another flick. Muskie tries to pre-jump him, but can't quite make any contact with the ball. Demo from Aaron on Zico. Jiggy tries to take control, but getting challenged instantly. And oh, you know, this game definitely, it is one of the, you know, slower games compared to the last 2 games. Not much offense from both teams. You know, maybe it's a little bit calm after the storm. You know, with regards to offense, now a shot coming in, but that will be saved easy by Aaron.
Yeah, it feels like the midfield is a lot more open as well. Like we saw the first 2 games, it was a real battleground, but it's kind of just very black and white offense and defense. Jiggy showing his mechanics now. We haven't seen that from him for a while, but showing up, getting that double touch there and putting Salford on the board first here. Great shot from Jiggy.
Yeah, Jiggy with a shot in the end. You know, Rebel could have maybe got that from his own goal line. It was a little bit out of position, but in the end, you know, a good shot from Jiggy. I'll give him that. And what matters more for him is, of course, taking the lead here. And, you know, not quite a high-scoring game, so that maybe would be the only goal in this game number 3. Well, unless the Martinis will change their playstyle and try to, you know, give a little bit more in offense, because really, last game we have seen so much in offense, but this time, you know, Rebel, he will finally begin the offense for Groningen and will equalize here with 3 minutes remain.
Yeah, that time the bump coming through. Muskie just launching Aaron, who probably could have cleared that shot from Rebel. Just completely blew the defense wide open, and now an equalizer. I don't think that lead for Salford lasted any more than about 20 seconds there before Martinis got their goal. It's going to be Zico getting that one clear, but not really. Aaron, tried the wave dash on the wall. That can work really well. Just, you know, a sudden turn of speed can catch your opponents out, but very hard to do.
Yeah, definitely. If you could, you know, got a wave dash, then it can throw your opponent out really well. That's a shot from Zico, but it can't be scored by him as Arton. We'll just get a save there. Still equalized here as we see Muskie trying to get to the right side of the field. Well, it's just getting blocked by his teammate. It's in the middle. Input pass coming out there from the Salford Lions, trying to get the second here, of course. It's still equalized here, 1 each, and still half time to be played in this game number 3. And really Groningen, they're under a lot more pressure than Salford, because Salford, of course, won the first 2 games of the series, the only 2 games as of yet. And definitely, if they take this game, of course, there will be a match point, and definitely going for that Alton. He just slots it in, and that's going to be really nerve-wracking now for the Martinis.
Yeah, he took the words right out of my mouth. This game is match point deciding, so if Salford take this game, they will go on to match point, and also they'll go on to sweep point, which huge for the confidence, huge for the mental game. And a reverse sweep in a best of 7, not unheard of, but I am sure that the Martinis will want to get themselves back into this game, tie things up once more as they have done so many times this series already. Or sorry, yeah, this series already. They have tied these games up after Salford have taken a lead. But again, you know, we have seen these high-scoring games. Maybe not the last one, but definitely the first one was.
Yeah, definitely. Now we see Groningen trying to go for the second, but they just can't get it past the defenders. A little bit of the same story as last game now. Well, falls in front of the own goal of Salford, but now going to be scored again by Groningen. Really, they struggle so much getting the ball past the defenders. Yet another save there from Alton. You know, the defenders are just brick roll there in the Salford Lions goal, and you know, it's just so hard to beat the defenders. And that's really the story of this game. Groningen, they're trying to beat their opponents by, you know, making those plays, making those input passes, or sometimes even the individual plays, but nothing really works out. And you know, what do they need to change in offense? Because something has to work for them, because of course they only have 1 minute in this game number 3, or otherwise it will be Salford Lions in the best of 7 going into match point.
Yeah, well, the pressure has been consistent from the Martinis, but they've just kind of been sending one player at a time, and it's not as much pressure as they probably could be putting up, not quite reading the game as fast as they could be, and following up on those touches just to, you know, make Salford start to fall apart a little bit. So I think if they can, you know, just start rotating on offense that little bit quicker and making some disruptive touches as well, just sending someone across, or while someone is rotating out, just cutting rotations and throwing that ball over to the side. And they're going to have to do something quickly because only 20 seconds left now on the shot from Zico. Unconvincing. Rebel looked for the bump. Jiggy, is he going to put this one in? No, Muskie with a save to keep his team alive here. It's Rebel trying to take this one downfield. It's all the way over to Muskie off the backboard. Arton with a huge clear though. They've got one more chance. This one is launched at the ceiling by Rebel. That one is going to be down, and it's even going to be in from Jiggy. 3-1 scoreline, and Martinis, they threw absolutely everything at Salford in that final minute and still could not find an equalizing goal.
Yeah, they just gave their everything, you know, but they still have that, you know, one game, or well, maybe a couple if they win next game. Of course, it will be sweep point now for Salford, which is huge, like you said, a mental boost. They have all the momentum now going into game number 4. They have all the confidence as well. You can't say the same for Martinis, I know it. And, you know, Martinis, you know, losing this game yet again, you know, with 2 goals in the end, but probably, you know, you could say 1 goal because they kind of overextended there a little bit, throwing everything in offense. But definitely, it will be huge for Martinis right now. You know, maybe this, you know, little break in between games could maybe help them a little bit, you know, going into the next game, because they need to change something, definitely in offense. They just can't beat their opposition in their defensive half. Everything they throw at their goal of Salford is getting saved, and really they need to change something because it's just not working for them as of yet.
Yeah, but, you know, coming from the UK, I've got to support my boys, even though I predicted against them, but we don't talk about that. I kind of predicted for them, but I also predicted against them. But I'm so relieved for them because I saw how badly they got beat on Saturday, and I thought that they might still be, you know, the ostrich with its head buried in the sand. I've been in that position myself where, you know, you've had such a dominant season and then you've fallen at the final hurdle or close to a final hurdle against a team that you've been beating all season long, and it really can kind of weigh heavy on your mind. So I'm glad Salford have managed to kind of pick themselves up, and they're looking good in EURC at the moment. That could be the biggest caster's curse that I've ever done in my career if the Martinis now come back and reverse sweep this. But based on what we've seen in the first 3 games so far, Salford look like they have the mental fortitude to take this all the way.
That could have already been the first goal of this game number 4 by Salford. That's, you know, a little bit of a mistake there from the Martinis defense. Not really what you want to see from them right now, but there's now Salford really. They're taking all here in game number 4 as it will be Aaron scoring the first goal. I think there was a bump as well there. Muskie, not the best hit from him in the end. A bump, I think, from Jiggy on Rebel, throwing him all the way out of the goal, and Salford taking the lead in game number 4.
That was an absolute banger with the Batmobile there. Clearly that car just built different, just manufactured from the finest Kevlar and carbon fiber, just, you know, not able to compete when Aaron is shooting like that. And pretty much one of our earliest goals we've seen so far, almost a one back there for the Martinis, but thankfully fourth man on Salford, the post saving them once more. Arten in a very awkward spot. Going to opt to leave this one to Aaron, who wasn't as far back as he first thought, but is able to get there. 50-50 again with that just absolute chonker of a car, the backfield.
Yeah, this is a great car, definitely for shots like that, but that is not a really powerful shot. I don't really know how that went in, but definitely the Groningen defense, a little bit shaky that Jiggy, you know, not the best shot of Rebel, you know, we're not really positioned well, and his teammate going for the corner boost, and that's 2-0 for Salford Lions right now, and that's going to be nerve-wracking for Martinis. Alarm bells going to ring for them. 2.5 minutes to go, and now a 2-goal lead for Salford, not really what you want to see from Groningen.
Yeah, Zico there got really unfortunate. He thought Muskie was in control of that ball on the air dribble and chose to flip for the corner boost. And the second that he used his flip, that shot was put on target. So the defense was absolutely wide open there. So 2-goal cushion now for Salford. And I think we have seen 2-goal comebacks from the Martinis. So it's definitely not impossible for them to get back in this game. But they definitely looked defeated. I saw on the replay there, I think it was Rebel when that goal went in, just stopped moving, and the body language there tells me that they haven't got the best mental game at the moment. So starting to worry for Martinis, but starting to look really good for Salford.
Yeah, definitely. When you're three games down in a best of 7, all you have to do is pick up your mentality, because if you don't have the mentality anymore, you're not gonna win this series, not at all. And really, that's something they really gotta do right now, Groningen. Well, now it's still Salford Lions trying to go for the third with their from the back with their Groningen, but still getting cleared away by Rebel. Can they finally get the first goal? No, it's not a good shot. Jiggy will just clear it away. And half time to go in this game. And really, the time is ticking for the Martinis. The Salford Lions are so close, sweeping Groningen out of the EURC tournament.
Yeah, that shot really needed to go in there as well. It was a double commit from Salford and was fired onto the crossbar. And as you say, they need to score 2 goals at least to take it to overtime. 3 goals in this game if they want to stay alive in the EURC here. Such high stakes for them in this lower bracket. Salford, it looks like they're doing everything right to advance at the moment. They might get a third here courtesy of Arten. Didn't get the ball, but look for the bump. But a demo now coming out onto Muskie. No one there from Salford just yet. Here comes Zico on that sidewall. Can he get to this ball? No challenges coming through from Salford yet, and they might get punished for it as Zico fired that one onto the backboard. It was defended well by Arten. We're ticking it down. We've almost hit 1 minute remaining, and still the Martinis yet to score in this crucial game 4.
Yeah, and that's really something they struggled with pretty much all series long, not in game number 1, but pretty much all the games after, they just struggled with scoring. Something, well, happened here. Zico will take it off Muskie. I think it was Muskie's goal, but it will be goal steal by Zico. And that's really what they needed. Groningen finally finding that goal, finding, securing goal as well. 1 minute and 18 seconds to go, and they still need one more, but it's gonna be tight for them.
Yeah, Salford are starting to look complacent. That 2-goal lead, I saw Aaron just kind of freestyling, hovering his car in midair, like in absolute no man's land. He's going to miss that one. The last thing that they should do here is throw this game away. They're on match point. Take it now, boys. Don't allow them to come back and threaten that, because if these guys get any momentum, I've seen the Martinis do it before. I believe it might have been against Dusseldorf, who are serial throwers, but still, if the Martinis get any sniff of momentum, then they will try and win this series.
Yeah, well, we are going to see that 40 seconds to go, and right now we are seeing Groningen actually coming back in this game, getting a little bit more offenses, and that's definitely what you want to see from them. But yeah, like we said, Salford, they can't throw this game away. It will be a bump on Rebel, but yet still be able to recover from that and clear the ball away. 20 seconds to go. The time is ticking for them. Zico will try to get it past one, but has no boost in the ball to work with. Can't get a flake onto the ball, and really the time is taking 17 seconds to go, and Groningen still coping with a 1-goal lose here.
Yeah, 10 seconds left. Final chance for the Martinis to find a way back in this game and start their comeback, but clock ticking down. It's in the wrong half of the field at the moment. Muskie going to get dunked. Rebel can't reach it. Salford, they managed to hold on, but they have now swept the Martinis. And the Martinis, well, it's goodbye for them, unfortunately.
Well, that's yet another Dutch team going out of the tournament. Well, me as a Dutchman is a little bit sad with that, but it has been definitely been deserved by Salford. Definitely, they have been the better side all series long. And in the end, Martinis, they had a lot of offense in I think game 2 and game number 3, and the fact that Salford Lions could cope with that really well just shows that they're the true winners here. Even when you're under pressure and conceding that less, it's really remarkable. The defense from them has been phenomenal in this series. And in the last game, in the end, it was a really close game, but in the end, still got it to their end. And I think that's really Salford Lions. They're the deserved winners going to the next round as well. Of course, in the lower bracket, they still have a long journey to go to. Maybe in the end, win this tournament, but it's gonna be a really, really good performance. It's gonna be a really, really good series they're going to be having next, because definitely they are having a lot of momentum and a lot of confidence from the series.
Yeah, I do wonder how far Salford can go now, because I do know that in that lower bracket is their kryptonite Bournemouth. They wouldn't face them until the lower semi-finals, I believe, which is quite a way off just yet, and that would mean that Bournemouth would have to beat Tilburg and the winner of FHDW and ULB and another team as well. I believe it would probably be Berlin Basilisk. So there's still a long way to go before we get there, but if Salford continue their run and Bournemouth continue their run, they would actually meet in that lower semi-final, which a rematch of that NSC Grand Final, which I watched Bournemouth just decimate them. I don't think Salford are going to be too happy about that, so they might bow out at that point. But I'm very, very happy for them. While it was incredible to watch that absolute stomp from Bournemouth on Saturday, you really did have to feel for Salford, because they had such a good season in league play, and then just to lose like that, and it wasn't their best performance either. It wasn't like they put up a 100% performance and still lost. It just didn't look convincing from them, but that really did. And the fact that they don't have Camo as well, who is arguably the best player on their roster, I'll leave that one up to debate. Playing with Aaron instead, who actually had a really good series. I was surprised at how well he was playing, so hats off to him. They looked really good against the Martinis.
Yeah, definitely. They looked really, really strong. And I think really, without, their best player, Camo, they've just played really, really well. But you've talked about Bournemouth, and well, we are going to see them in the next game, of course, in the lower bracket. The lower bracket round 3, they will be facing against yet another Dutch team. It will be against Tilburg United, who, of course, well, if you've watched former streams, we have seen them sweeping twice through the lower bracket. They won 4 against the TOD Apes, 1-4 against the other Groningen team, actually, the Fair Play Mojitos, I think they are. And of course, Bournemouth, we have seen them in the upper bracket, winning with 4-3 against the Q Krakens. But in the end, the second round, they forfeited actually against...
they did do that.
But
we still have absolutely no word, if they're actually going to show up tonight. We'll see.
Yeah, we're going to see. But definitely, if they do, then we have a really, really good match. Because, well, you've just talked Bournemouth, they're a really strong team. But so are Tilburg United. We have seen them playing really, really well in that lower bracket. So we're just going to see that. It's going to be after a little break. So don't go anywhere. We will be with you after this little break.
Stay a bit longer. You're making me stronger, making me stronger. Stay a bit longer. You're making me stronger, making me What can I do to make you stay a little longer? You're making me stronger, making me stronger. Stay a little longer. You're making me stronger, making me stronger.
And welcome back to the EURC playoffs desk, where despite Sigmoid doing a fantastic job, I have finally managed to come back, kick him back off the desk. And look, it's an exciting time to be on the desk, because not only do I have a fantastic panel of panelists, full to the bursting with questions, we have the player they're going to be asking those questions of. Aaron, or Aaron, or whoever you really want to go with it, is here joining us from the Salford Lions. And Aaron, fantastic win there, the sweep in that last series against the Martinis.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, super excited to have you here, of course. Salford, it's been a little bit up and down for you guys over the last few days. NSE didn't go as hot, but I have to say, you clearly are dealing with the loss well, rebounding pretty effectively.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't play NSC, so...
But you had 2 teammates who were playing on that. I mean, they still had to come and play today as well. I mean, the mentality must have taken a bit of hit on Saturday, surely.
I don't think so. You just kind of play it as it is, don't you?
Yeah, fair enough. I guess that's one way to look at it for sure. And we're going to throw directly to High Fury because I know he's just been looking forward to asking you some questions.
This is always my favorite part, of course. well, it kind of goes into what Nurleic already kind of highlighted. But coming into this and not necessarily playing with the main roster, were you guys expecting it for Rose Week?
Well, so no, not really. We're just like, we don't really know who these guys are. And then in the warm-up,
okay.
I said to the other guy, he was called Muskie, I think, or something, and I was like, are you Mustie's brother? And he was like, aren't you a sub? And I was like, that's not very nice, is it? So I guess we just kind of tried and we just won.
Alright, so I mean, there's multiple things to unpack there, I think. The first thing being that we're now in, the final 12 of the tournament, and we still have teams who haven't actually bothered to pay any attention to VODs from the other teams. Which seems to be a theme. You are definitely not the first person to say that, Aaron. So I think at some point we're going to have to encourage our teams to actually go and look up what's going on. And secondly, don't trash talk Salford because they will just go on to just immediately sweep you. And I think Bournemouth luckily managed to avoid trash talking you on Saturday. Must be the clear takeaway from that one. So
well, I didn't play in that game, so I'm taking no responsibility.
That's probably smart, yeah. Distance yourself from that one. And we'll pass directly over to Orion to throw some questions to Aaron.
Well, yeah, you've kind of been skirting around the NSC final saying that you weren't playing, but I do know that you were playing in the Newell final, which you lost quite badly to.
Yeah, but they spent the full week analysing our replays, and we spent the games before that playing Boomer mode, so like...
I could kind of tell that you weren't maybe taking it as seriously as perhaps you could have done, but that's okay, you know. The real competition is here in the EURC, so you've done a great job here. I want to ask you how far do you think you can go? And are you like a permanent player on this roster now? Have you just completely booted Camo into no man's land, or do you think you'll
Camo
make a
put a
reappearance
message
somewhere?
in like half 4 saying that he couldn't play, so I told him that he's an idiot, and then just said, and then they were like, oh well, Aaron, you're gonna have to play, so I played, and that's it.
So you probably won't be featuring in the next series, is what you're saying?
I hope not. It's just a bit of effort, innit? Like, and plus they're a pretty sick team, like, without me, so like I don't think they need me.
Apparently a pretty
Very
sick team
modest.
with you. Yeah, a pretty sick team with you as well, Aaron, but I think looking forward to the future as well, right? Whether or not you're going to be playing in the next series, it's going to be up against another one of those English sides. And I think if you were looking at it between the Beckett Bears and the Essex Blades, who do you think the rest of the squad would rather have to face in the next round?
You're gonna have to tell me who's on each team.
Oh god, well, you're going to
Essex,
someone else.
Essex is Switch, Lexano, George Burke. Beckett Bears is... Oh, no, I'm thinking of Birmingham. Does
Where's
anyone know
Tylacto when we
who's on
need
the
him?
Beckett
Where's
Bears? Yeah,
Tylacto when you need him? Oh god.
Bears.
I'm going to
Beckett Bears, I
say...
think, is Matty E.T. and 2 others. I can't remember the other 2.
That
Matty,
sounds
Rahu,
just
and
so-
Mosley.
Thank you.
That's a pretty sick team. They're both pretty sick teams, to be fair. I don't know. I'd rather just Rocket League, innit? You just play whatever.
It's fair.
Play whatever
Yeah.
comes.
Just rather have Camo sub back in for the next series seems to be the conclusion on that one, Aaron. Is that fair?
Yeah, if he's around. If not, I'll play.
All right, excellent. You know what? Honestly, it still seems like you as a team have your lives together a lot more than some of the other teams we have seen compete in this tournament. So congratulations on that, and congratulations on the win again, Aaron. It's been a pleasure having you on the desk, and we are going to let you go and enjoy the rest of your evening here. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And that means that we will get rid of Aaron. We're going to replace him with the last member of our desk, who is, of course, going to be the returning Sigmoid. I tried to get rid of him, and I got him off hosting duties, but I couldn't get him very far. He is going to be back here for the rest of this desk. And that means we get to ask him some questions about our upcoming match. It's going to be a bit of a banger, a bit of a slapper. We are going to have the team that did sweep Salford in those NSA finals that we have brought up at length there with Aaron and got very little answers about. And Bournemouth Barracudas are going to be coming up against Tilburg United, and it's going to be an exciting one for sure, Sigmund.
Oh, absolutely, for sure. These two teams, Well, they've not met for a while. Tilburg was in Group A and Bournemouth was over in Group C, I believe, where they spectacularly choked a potential first seed spot in their group, which sounds vaguely familiar. Choked their place in the upper bracket last week because they didn't show up at all, as I alluded to earlier. That being said, they, like Tilburg, are on a pretty good run of form, having taken down Salford on Saturday night. That was a 5-game sweep in a weighted best of 9. Tilburg also on a pretty good streak in EURC. They've won the last 8 games in the bounce.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that means that there's only one place to take this conversation, which is over to our token Dutchman. Tilburg United, Iberia. They're looking real good. They are, as Sigmund has just said, 8-0. They haven't dropped a game yet in the playoffs. And while Bournemouth are a scary side, I think Tilburg have shown some form of their own so far.
I think that's like the scary part for Bournemouth, that they haven't dropped a game against, well, sorry to say this, Nuala, but TUD Apes, not necessarily the greatest competition, but Mojitos, they were a very solid team, top 2 in the Netherlands, and they've just completely swept them. I think that's a scary part, that they're really unpredictable, because they might just lose here today against Bournemouth Barracudas. It will be a very hard matchup for them, but I wouldn't really be able to predict it properly.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, we're going to throw it over to Orion one last time, because Orion, one of the things about this Bournemouth side that has then just been alluded to is that they definitely can be a momentum-based team. So I'm going to ask you to elaborate on that, the fact that maybe if this team does start to drop games, they're going to drop a lot very quickly. This could be Tilburg continuing to go undefeated, and then maybe throw us a quick prediction as well.
Yeah, well, I really am kind of a fan of Bournemouth after their performance on Saturday, and I spoke to Onoz briefly afterwards, and his kind of takeaway was that they finally showed up when it mattered most. He had probably the best series that I've ever seen him play. He's worked so hard all season and really grinded up the ranks. Will and Cloud also had incredible series as well, and to take 5 games in a row against arguably the best team in NSC on paper was just mind-blowing to watch. And they beat Loughborough before that, no less. So I really am all aboard the Bournemouth train at the moment.
Absolutely. So that's one vote for Bournemouth so far. We're going to then, I guess, throw it back to the Dutchman and say, look, you've heard a lot of talk about Bournemouth just there, but Hyperia, do you think Tilburg have it in them to continue this unbeaten run?
Unbeaten, no way. I don't think there's any way that they are going to go about this unbeaten. If they do, then Berlin Phoenix have to be scared, and they'll just go on and win the finals at that point. I'm gonna say that, but it will be very close. But I don't know. I kind of want to put it on Bournemouth, but you know what? I'll give it to Tilburg purely because I'm extremely biased here.
Yeah, no, a bit of bias. That's what we love to see here on the desk as well. And that means when we go to Sigmund, it's going to be tied at 1-1, and you get to break the deadlock a little bit for now until I immediately deadlock back up.
Hyperia is deluded. There is zero way Tilburg United win this series, and he says a sweep is unlikely. I feel like it's well within Bournemouth's grasp this evening. So, yeah, I'm going to say Bournemouth, and I'm going to give Tilburg 1 game.
Ooh, so you think the sweep is well within their grasp, but you don't think they'll actually pull it off? Well, I think that's...
But Bournemouth are known for their inconsistency.
This is true. And I will say that, I'm going to vote Bournemouth as well. I will say as well that Bournemouth... inconsistency, and maybe a world where if Tilburg can pick up a little bit of early momentum, can get Bournemouth on the back foot, that maybe they can carry that momentum through to a surprise win in this series. But it'll take a lot of doing, and I think Bournemouth, with the form they're in, probably have it. And with that, the Nuala takeover of the desk and the stream is going to continue. So I'm going to get rid of all of my fellow panelists, and I'm going to head over onto the casting desk. Thank you very much, boys, for a wonderful desk. And hello to Dennis, who's going to be joining me here for the cast. Dennis, you excited for this one as I am?
Yeah, definitely. It's still here in the lower bracket, but nonetheless, it brings a little bit more of, some excitement. Of course, if in the winners bracket, when we lose this one, we still have a chance in the loser bracket. But now you're playing the losers bracket, and you still, you need to perform, because if you don't, then of course you're out of the EURC. And both of these teams know, and well, Tilburg, they knew it from the start, from round 1, swept both of their series until here in round number 3, where they face all of the best UK teams, UK uni teams here in Bournemouth. So definitely the biggest task for them so far. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I'm really excited for this series.
Yeah, it's going to be super hype. And of course, you're right. That is something we didn't really get time to mention on the desk because Aaron just was having a great time in the interview. This is the lower bracket, and Bournemouth have found themselves down here after a forfeit versus the Portsmouth Paladins. So this is a team that very much could still belong in the upper bracket and have just found themselves down here, victims of circumstance. Tilburg, though, they haven't necessarily looked like a lower bracket team either. This is going to be a banger of a series as we get underway with game 1.
Game number 1, of course, in this best of 7 series. We've seen it last series, and definitely, taking game number 1 is something. But taking both, that nearly would have been the first goal of this series. It just barely gets cleared away by Bournemouth. Now the other side at Tilburg, they are going to be out of the defense as well, not being scored on as of yet, but already early pressure from both sides actually. Now it is Bournemouth trying to get a first goal of the series, but no goal scored as of yet in game number 1.
Yeah, no goals just yet. There was nearly a sign of that Bournemouth kind of inconsistency, that Bournemouth complacency sneaking in, as that goal could have just rolled into their net up that end. They got a little bit lucky to get it away. And these are shots now being allowed for Tilburg once again. There's 3 members of Bournemouth just stuck on this line. They're finally going to get the ball clear, but it's only as far as Tom, who now has a chance to just run it towards the goal. Good defense from Bournemouth for the time being, but they've left an open net. There's 3 members committed. First blood goes to Tilburg in this series.
Yeah, Tilburg maybe against the run of odds here in the lead. A big double commit there coming out of the Bournemouth defenders. And you need to know King Kong, not, the hardest shot, but definitely he'll take that to open up the series here with a goal. King Kong in the end, scoring into the opener after the double commit of Bournemouth. Tilburg, they'll definitely take it.
Yeah, they definitely will. And the demo will prevent follow-up off that kickoff as well. Smickelbear tries to carry this one out. Tom, big, booming clear. And Bournemouth, look, they're 1 goal down a minute in, but there's so much Rocket League left to play in this series. It's a best of 7. There's 4 minutes in this game alone, and they're only down 1. This is definitely not any signs that, there's nothing to be really drawn in terms of conclusions from that single goal.
No, definitely not. There's a best of 7 series. It can go any way. Of course, last series we have seen, I think, 8 goals in the very first game, and it just doesn't say anything. It's the game number 1. It can go anyway in the best of 7. It is a very long series. Well, unless it is a 4-0 sweep, but between these both sides, I can't really say for certain it's going to be a sweep, but definitely I can. I've heard the panel. I've heard it's going to be an easy sweep for Bournemouth, or just an easy win for Bournemouth. But well, we are seeing Tilburg in the lead in game number 1, so we wouldn't say that too fast.
Ooh, Tilburg in the lead, and Tilburg still looking to make plays both in front of goal and in the middle of the pitch. The passes have come through, the shots have come through. They haven't broken through this Bournemouth defense just yet for the second time, but the defense is good as well. Man marking as Clyde got taken off that ball. This is a little bit dangerous. Tilburg will need to deal with it. The 50 is good, and now it feels like Bournemouth committing a little bit too much on the offense again. That goal, the breakaway, it's starting to feel like Bournemouth are maybe leaving a little bit too much space in behind when they go for these attacks.
Yeah, well, maybe they do. Well, half time to go until we're really trying to go for the second goal, but definitely they have to watch out because in the middle, Bournemouth getting the goal in the end. It looked a little bit shaky there from Bournemouth, but in the end they still snatched in the equalizer, and well, they definitely take that. Get the double commit there from Tilburg, but it will be Bournemouth equalizing.
I think that one goes into the books as an own goal, if I'm being totally honest. I think Tom carried that over King Kong, and I think if Tilburg were going to concede after having the lead against kind of, what we were all expecting coming into the game in game 1, that's not how they would have wanted to give it up. And honestly, I don't think it's how Bournemouth would have wanted to score either. They've kind of just been given a bit of ray of light on that one. They find themselves equalised. And with 2 minutes left to go, it's a tie game, and it definitely is anyone's to play for. We've seen good offense from both of these teams. And we're seeing, one of them has to capitalise soon.
Yeah, for sure. 2 minutes to go in this game number 1. I actually can say, Tilburg, they have the majority of the shots. Only 1 shot fired from Bournemouth, and it wasn't even, the best shot in history. In the end, it's still snatched in, but definitely I would expect a little bit more from Bournemouth, because so far it really has been Tilburg, with the majority of the pressure, with, having the ball in the offensive half. In the end, not the most goals, because they can't really score their chances. They had 5 shots and only 1 goal, where we are seeing 2 shots from Bournemouth with 1 goal. So 1 minute to go. It has been, Tilburg with a little bit better, of a better team here in game number 1. But definitely, I can't say for certain who's going to win this game, because it really has been back and forth. It can go any way, but it just all comes down. who's going to pop off here in the upcoming 1 minute.
That's a big miss. This is a shooting chance now. Smicklebear could take it off the back wall. Shot it down. Oh my god, it just bounces off the right post. I thought the pinch was good just there, but now have they been caught out? Have Teal'c committed too many members to this attack with just a minute left in the game? Bournemouth are looking for a second. This could be Cloud going for it all. You could see it. There was a player waiting on the left wing, but chose full out of play for the time being, and that means that Bournemouth had no one left to commit as that ball rolled across face of goal. Teal'c get away with it. And you have to say get away with it there, because that absolutely could have been a Bournemouth goal, but Bournemouth got away with it just before that as well.
Are they going to score this one? Now, it will be saved by Smicklebear. Now, really, Teal'c, they are tested in defense. You have seen them in offense, but on defense, they're doing their job as well, keeping the nets clean as of yet with 35 seconds remaining. Yet another double commit.
The shot, it's a goal! It's a goal! It's Smicklebear who scores it. It comes off the back wall. It was a double commit. This could have been so dangerous. I mean, just imagine, Dennis, if this goal doesn't go in, where are the Teal'c players?
Well, yeah, in their goal, to be honest. Well, in the goal of Bournemouth, I have to say. And yeah, no one in goal, of course, for Teal'c then. That would have been probably an easy goal for Bournemouth. It is a big risk there from the third minute. Smicklebear did really, really well. Good shot from him as well. Probably the decide of this game number 1.
Oh, it could be, but Bournemouth are still aggressive. And to be honest, to beat a team as good as Bournemouth, to win it all, you have to risk it all. Teal'c have definitely taken that to heart as they committed 3 members to that last goal. And now they just need to stuff it up the jumpers for 15 seconds. They just need to hold on against one of the best offensive teams the UK has produced, the best offensive team the UK can produce. And they're on this goal line with just 7 seconds left. It looks like Teal'c have gotten the clear. It's at the halfway line. There's going to be Onos coming in. It's a huge pinch. It's back towards. Can Will get under this? It's maybe pinched too far. The pinch was too good, if anything, as it's gone all the way across the face of goal. Surely this ball will bounce now. It will. And it's Teal'c to take game 1.
Yeah, and you sound really surprised, Neolog, but Teal'c, they played really, really well. If you just look a little bit at the shots, they had quite a lot of shots, quite a lot of pressure against Bournemouth, and in the end, they closed it out really well, Teal'c. In the end, getting that very important goal as well, of course, scored by Smicklebear, and really, Tom, he's been playing really, really well, especially in defense. He isn't really involved in the offense, but in the end, in defense, he made saves off Teal'c, and if he wasn't there, definitely Teal'c wouldn't have won this game number 1. He's been really a star player, not in the offense, but definitely in the defense. He made his mark.
Absolutely, and has been, I think, all tournament long, especially in these playoffs for Teal'c. Tom has really stepped up for them, and we had him on the desk for an interview. I think it was last week or after the first series they won, and he was confident. He said, Teal'c, we can go deep into this tournament. We can go a very long way. I'm not sure he knew they were going to be playing Bournemouth when we had that interview. Yeah, memory fails me on that one, but Teal'c right now are putting up the numbers and they're putting up the goals against Bournemouth. I think the important thing in that game, Dennis, is that a lot of people would have seen Bournemouth manage to score that goal, manage to equalise, and said, oh, okay, there it is. Now Bournemouth turn it around from here. Teal'c held on, and they scored the only other goal after the game was equalised.
Yeah, definitely. Bournemouth, they had the chances in game number 1 to, potentially win the game number 1 as well, but they just failed to do so. And then it was just Teal'c, in the later stage of the game number 1, snatching the win, and definitely that's Bournemouth they will remember. And straight here from the kick of Teal'c nearly already getting the opening goal of game number 2. But definitely Teal'c, they've surprised me every time. In the first 2 rounds of the loser bracket, they've surprised me. But here as well against Bournemouth, that will be Bournemouth opening up the game number 2. As Will just snatch it in and will score here for Bournemouth, taking it all by himself.
Yeah, there's the statement, or the saying, let sleeping dogs lie. Bournemouth might be a dog that's about to wake up and take a few bites out of Teal'c in this game 2. That's a super early goal. Only 19 seconds here into game 2. They found the lead, and it's a well-worked goal. That was what the offense struggled to produce for them in game 1. We'll have to see if the Teal'c defense stays up to the task of keeping Bournemouth at bay. Right now, it might not be the case, as that's going to be carried forward. Cloud not quite able to make his way through all 3 members. There could be a counter-attacking chance here now again. Ono's last man back. That was an important touch. Made it well. Tom off the back. Whoa, what a goal that would have been if Smicklebear had actually managed to find the angle, and he came much closer than I think he had any right to.
Yeah, that was really close. That's Teal'c really trying to go for the equalizer in this game number 2. Not happening yet, but they have a lot of time still. 4 minutes and 10 seconds. Well, of course, they're 1 goal down. I don't think they've been on the losing end in this series so far, but definitely now they are. It had to be one time, because it is really a back and forth series. Definitely Teal'c, they aren't really like a very dominant team against Bournemouth. It's just really hard being a dominant team against Bournemouth, because they are just a really good team. But definitely Teal'c, they're doing quite well, but Bournemouth definitely, they are trying to go for the second goal, so trying to get a convincing win going into game 3.
Yeah, they'll want that so badly. Tom was so quickly off that back wall, and there's a bit of space here now. It's controlled by King Kong, who dribbles it around one player with a bit of a ground, but gets it past the second with a nice touch off the wall. Tom's up for it. Tom's such a tough angle. Can't quite find it, and the offensive player, Smickle there, not quite able to find the last shot that was necessary to get that ball into the back of the net. That was a huge play by Tilburg, and they created something I think, Bournemouth would have been happy with up at the other end of the pitch as well.
Yeah, definitely. We are seeing the plays coming out of the Tilburg plays. We know they have it in them, but they still got to go here in game number 2. Of course, they want to win this game number 2 as well. Game number 1, of course, winning that is is good. It gives a good start, but in a best of 7, of course, 1 win isn't gonna seal the deal for them. And definitely against a team like Bournemouth, when they're having momentum, Bournemouth, then it can be so hard to come back from that.
Oh my God.
Get the second for Bournemouth, and what a way that is to get a second goal there.
Will, that touch was beautiful, just off the car, and Onos, who passed it to Will, coming through at speed, has the finish as well, and that'll be 2-0 to Bournemouth. They're definitely looking like they're starting to wake up a little bit in this series, starting to look like the Tilburg defense might be showing its cracks as Bournemouth coming at them with pace, coming at them with a lot of creativity as well on the back of that play.
Definitely, that's really the Bournemouth we wanted to see. The offense is from them just so well, and you said already, Bournemouth, they can be so dangerous in offense, and now finally we see why they can be so dangerous in offense and how they can be. So this time will be King Kong getting a shot in, and I honestly thought that would have been saved by Bournemouth, but in the end still, it comes 1 goal back, and they still 1 goal down, but King Kong definitely will be happy with that, scoring the goal.
Absolutely. Bournemouth might be the heavyweights of this lower division in EURC right now, but Tilburg are trading blow for blow in this game, blow for blow in this series so far, and honestly, it's on Bournemouth in this game to strike back the punch after Tilburg managed to win the first game away from them. I think a little bit of an upset, and of course, that does mean, by the way, Dennis, that the Tilburg win streak in playoffs is still alive. If they can come back in this game, it'll be all the way up to 10. Right now, it is sitting on 9. 9 games on the bench. That was a shot that nearly went in. Thomas cleared the way open now. This could be a follow-up from King Kong. No, the double touch is denied by good back wall defense. That's what you need out of Will. That's the sign of a good team as well. Not just good offense, good defense, good rotations, and good play when you get to the ball.
Yeah, just like in last series, we have seen Salford play again. Oh, that's open. Onos will just get it in. And really, the defenders of Tilburg, where are they? Nowhere to be found. King Kong, getting dunked, and in the end, Onos getting the goal.
Yeah, it was a little. I think it was Smickleberry. You can see he's just been bumped completely out of the play by Will as well. So no chance getting to that ball. Good play by Bournemouth. They're working well off the ball as well. The defensive rotations have been pretty crisp for them here in game 2. This could be a kickoff goal. Crossbar and out, not quite in, and Tom beaten out by the low ball on the ground. It's on Smickleberry. Last man back is going to pinch it into the corner. That's not where you want that ball to be, and that means that the follow-up will be there. It's 4-1 now as Honest puts in another for Bournemouth.
Well, Tilburg, of course, they had the 9-min streak, but I think that's going to be end here. 4-1 now for Bournemouth, and it's still 1 minute 40 seconds to play, so you definitely can still make 3 goals. But this game, it's just been all Bournemouth. All the offense coming from Bournemouth, and not really a lot Tilburg could have done against it. A lot of those shots, going into. Well, sometimes a little bit unlucky for Tilburg, but in the end, the defense wasn't really there. And if your defense is not there, playing against Bournemouth, it can be really hard. That will be the favorite for Bournemouth. Well, they're going for the Brazil at this point.
Yeah, they we're not happy about losing game 1, I think it's fair to say, as we see the scoreline of 5-1 with over a minute remaining still in game number 2, and Bournemouth are definitely starting to look very scary. And I think one of the scariest things for me is that, I was kind of worried in game 1, Dennis, that, it was going to come the Bournemouth offense. That's a great goal by King Kong. It'll only bring it back to 5-2 for the time being. And it's a kickoff goal. Not much more to say about that. I was worried that the Bournemouth offense was going to come at the expense of, maybe leaving themselves a little bit open at the back, that they were committing a lot of members to those attacks. Tilburg were going to get a lot of counter-attacks off. That just hasn't materialized in game 2. Bournemouth have cleaned up their defensive rotations as well as their offensive rotations massively.
Yeah, definitely. I haven't spotted any single mistakes in the rotations of Bournemouth in this whole game, actually. And then that really cost, the 3-goal lead they have now. Tilburg had a lot of struggles coming past the mid. Oh, King Kong will just snatch it in once again. Just a shot. I did not expect that would go in, but well, they make it close here.
Oh my god, and King Kong gave the pass to Tom and then just ran the length of the pitch. He drives all the way up there to make that pass. That was goal line to goal line by King Kong. And Tilburg, they're definitely not out of this game just yet. Bournemouth, they've let their foot off the gas for a half a minute, and it's 2 goals straight back to Tilburg as well. They'll look for another couple. With a minute left, there's a world where they find these 2 goals.
Yeah, well, definitely, 2 goals in 53 seconds. It's still Rocket League, a game of Rocket League. We have just seen a kick-off goal.
Tom.
Onos, and that nearly would have been 4 for Tilburg. But, it's still possible to complete the 9, well, maybe the 10 win streak, actually. And, they have to score twice in 35 seconds against Bournemouth, which is really hard. But, it's still possible, but not when, Bournemouth are just defending well.
Yeah, not when Bournemouth, they're sticking the ball up their jumper, when they're preventing you from getting anywhere near their half with Tilburg. They could do this right now. This could be a pass into the middle. No, it's just a shot instead. And King Kong, he's got 3 on the trot in the space of a minute. He has brought Tilburg straight back into this game.
King Kong, 4 goals all by himself for Tilburg. And if there's just one man for Tilburg in this game, it has been King Kong. And really, the last few games, last few series, it really had been Smikkelbeer and Tom, but this time it will be King Kong popping up. Or can he make 5 as well? It will be 17 seconds. The time is ticking.
Follow-up shot, not quite there. Ball still in front to goal. 10 seconds left on the clock. Cloud needed to get a bit clear on that one, and did. It means that the control will have to be here for Tom. He'll need to just take his time, think about what he's going to do with this, and popping it high and running directly into traffic was not play on that one. This will just bounce down in the Tilburg end of the pitch. They didn't get their chance to make the full comeback happen, but in the back half of that game, in the last minute and a half, they outscore Bournemouth 3-0 as we head into a game 3 with both teams tied on 1-1.
Yeah, in the end, it was just not enough. They made a really good shout with that comeback, but in the end, they just needed 1 goal to send this game to an overtime, and it was just a little bit too late in the game to still score yet another goal. I think they scored like 3 times. They were down with 5 against 1. So in the end, 5 against 4 is not a bad result, but in the end, it will still lose you the game. Whether you lose with 5-1 or 5-4, it will still be game 2 Bournemouth. But the end, they did really well, Tilburg, in the end, coming back. The first half of the game, well, they rather, not talk about that one anymore. But, Bournemouth, they had a really good start. In the end, slowed down a little bit, and Tilburg, decided to come back there.
Yeah, and I think that's the one thing you have to be maybe a little bit worried about for Tilburg there is, like, yes, they made a great comeback, but it does feel like Bournemouth maybe let the foot off the gas a little bit in the end of that game. Of course, there's a chance that Bournemouth leave that foot off the gas. Inconsistency has plagued this squad throughout the season. But as we've seen so far in the series, when they turn it on, I think, harder than anyone else that we have seen in the university scene. Except maybe the Berlin Phoenixes. But, we'll leave them out of the discussion because they're still waiting in the upper bracket for other of these teams. And this could be an early goal for Bournemouth Barracudas. That shot will go just wide of post, and it'll give a chance now for Tilburg to dribble the ball out of their own half. Tom is going to take on the world, trying to break axles, but runs into Will immediately, and that was good defense, and that's good pressure by Cloud, who's just demoing people in front of the goal. That's going to open up the way. Good defense there by Tilburg, finally getting a body back in front of the ball.
Yeah, in the end, a really good start there from Bournemouth here, 30 seconds in, and they're really getting a lot of shots. But it's just getting defended by Tilburg, and really, I think after the first game, really Bournemouth, they came back and they brought some momentum, brought some confidence. I can really just see that in their play style. They're playing a lot more confident than in game number 1. Like game number 1, maybe a little bit nervous, but Tilburg definitely, they've been under pressure against Bournemouth. Pretty much, all the last 2 games here in this game, and last game as well. In the end, Tilburg fought back really, really well, but it just wasn't enough in game number 2. But this is game number 3. It can go anyway here. We are seeing Bournemouth, though, with a lot of pressure. So far, it has been really Bournemouth being favorites in game number 3.
Yeah, Bournemouth definitely have had all the pressure they want here in game 3, but they don't have all the goals they want just yet, as that pressure is failing to produce shooting chances for them, to produce goals for them. This could be a chance right now. That's going to be an awkward try for a clear by King Kong. It'll bounce off the ceiling. It'll bounce off again. Tom clears it, but it's only as far as Cloud. Cloud has enough boost to really run this at the defense. The first touch got away from him a little bit, though, and that meant that the defense was able to rush up, able to get in the way of that ball. Oh, it's gone. It's just here in the middle. That's not rolling in. Okay. My heart. Dennis, I was worried for a second. I'll be totally honest.
Well, yeah, that it's still a game working. It could have been definitely, and definitely no one there wasn't the goal expecting that from Bournemouth, but it remains scoreless in this game number 3. And whether a slower game, not much goals scored here. Well, actually none. compared to last game, of course. But it can still go anyway. We all see one shot from Tilburg and 3 shots from Bournemouth. So it's still scoreless, but definitely both teams really trying to get a first goal this game number 3. Of course, it is all equalized in this series as well. Oh, that could have been a goal there for Tilburg, but it just goes off the crossbar. And Bournemouth, they can count themselves pretty lucky there. Not being there from that. I would call it a pinch going towards the goal, but also here just falling off the crossbar. Definitely Bournemouth. They had some pressure, but Tilburg definitely could have scored it up.
Yeah, definitely could have, but they haven't. And that means that we are still tied at 0-0 here in Game 3. Both teams just looking for the one goal that could catapult them into that series lead. This could be it right here for Bournemouth as well. Nope, just runs into Sminklebear. The back wall defense too strong right now for Tilburg. That's a good bump on Cloud. Will deny him the follow-up onto that back. Well, never mind. He'll get a shot off anyway. As everything I say is becoming false, as this play is just evolving so quickly. That'll bounce off the left post as well. And just about go wide. Tilburg struggling though to get their way out of their own half, struggling to get a bit of offensive pressure of their own, struggling to maybe make Bournemouth sweat here in Game 3. As this could be the situation where they do it as everyone is charging down the pitch. Maybe too many members of Tilburg charging down the pitch on that one. King Kong needed to get a touch that, did just about. Sminklebear gets the follow-up. That's just bounced back in front of the goal line, and I can't believe that hasn't gone in. Bournemouth just run out of members to throw at the ball right in front of the Tilburg goal line.
Yeah, goals still to be fallen in this game number 3, and definitely Bournemouth, they were close to make the first goal of this game number 3, but in the end it just wasn't enough, and Tilburg's defense still could go with the really good Tom with another save. Really, Tilburg under a lot of pressure from Bournemouth. Yet again, Bournemouth trying to create an offense, but yet again can't be ordered into a goal. Really, that's been the story of this game so far. 5 shots for Cloud and 2 shots for Olmos, but none of them got in, and really Tilburg, they can count themselves, well, I want to say lucky, but the defense has been really important this game on 3 so far.
Yeah, so much is centered around the man you just saw flying past the ball there. It is Tom, who's done so much on defense for this team. But we still have to see if they can create something with their end pitch. This is so dangerous right now. Sminklebear and Tom both jump for that ball, but they won't actually hand up in any bad position because of it. No, it's fine for the time being. Every time this ball is moving across the pitch, hearts in my mouth, because so many of these players are so quick around the pitch, and when they have boot, they can just appear out of nowhere to take a shot, to slide one in, and one is all either of these teams is looking for right now. Is with only 30 seconds remaining on the clock. Game 3 is yet to be decided. Game 3 is yet to have a goal, as this is definitely not what we expected coming to this. 2 aggressive teams, 2 high-scoring teams are being held scoreless as the defense is just too good. This is the chance. Tom in front of the goal. Tom lobs it. Tom sneaks one under the crossbar, and the lead is Tilburg's with only 15 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, and they make that first goal of game number 3, 15 seconds to go, and well, they definitely will take that. They needed that, and well, Tilburg 1 goal up, 15 seconds to go. Well,
yeah.
It is really...
Hold on, boys. Hold the line. That's all you need to do here in the last few seconds. King Kong lobs it high. Tom would put one out of reach if this goal goes in. No, it'll be safe for the moment. They just leave it up here. You just can't give Bournemouth the space to get out of their own half right now. You don't want to give up this 0-second goal. Claude into our goal. It's Tom. Who else would it be other than Tom to put that ball on the ground as Tilburg have taken another game? They've regained the series lead that they lost in game number 2. And Dennis, right now, Tilburg, I mean, I think, again, like I said in game 1, when Bournemouth came back and equalised the score in that game, I said a lot of people, I assume, would have thought, like, oh, well, this is it. Bournemouth just take over from here on out. Instead, Tilburg regained the lead in that game, closed it out 2-1. When Bournemouth won game 2, and they won it emphatically, I'd say a lot of people went, oh, well, that's it. Bournemouth have woken up now. They're just going to win from here on out. And again, Tilburg have just said no. And they've come back and they've won game 3 1-0, and now they're 2-1 up in the series.
Well, I mean, I've mentioned that when Bournemouth are winning game number 1, that, they can take the momentum with them and they could, continue that and, possibly, win 4 times in a row. But, Tilburg, they just deny that. It has really been a quiet game. But in the end, Tilburg had some really good defense, but in the end, 1 counter-attack, and they won that single game. They won that game number 3 and are, again, up by one game. So it's going to be really interesting to see, can Tilburg actually this time continue the momentum and continue winning, or will be again Bournemouth equalizing this year?
because this is huge now. This could be Tilburg going on to series point. It could be off the back of Tom right there. The shot not quite wide. Now Tom and Smickelbear are both stuck up here in the Bournemouth half. They're a bit adrift in no man's land right now. They managed to get back, and it was a good enough touch by King Kong tonight. He has King Kong on the left. It's a good passing play. It was a good effort by Tilburg. I like the idea. Execution just misses a little bit, and now they need to actually get back into this play as Cloud is taking the ball away from Tom in front of his car. Will launch across play to goal. Surely this goes in. Smickelbear, what a save. There was no angle to keep that ball from going into your own net. Smickelbear does it anyway, as now Tilburg have just about kept their clean sheet off a vicious counter-attack from Bournemouth.
Yeah, there's really been, Tilburg trying to, hold off the offense of Bournemouth, but, well, it has been really Tilburg. They are trying, they're really trying, but they haven't created any single shot, and of course they have the lead here in this series, but, well, if they keep playing like this, not for long, but Bournemouth, they're really trying to get that first goal of this game, number 4, and they really need that, because Tilburg, of course, if they win one single game, then they're in series point, and then Bournemouth, they have a lot to do in the next game. So Bournemouth, they know they need to win this, and they're also playing like that. But so far, it is goalless. But definitely, it has really been Bournemouth with all the pressure in this game so far.
It has been, but it might be Tilburg with the first goal as Tom sneaks one past all 3 members of Bournemouth to score on the far side of the post.
Well, it's really been Tilburg trying to hold off the Bournemouth's offenses, and in the end actually scoring out of the counter-attack. We've seen the last game scoring with 15 seconds left, and in this game, there's still he's missed 2 into the open air from the kickoff, but Tilburg it remains 1 now. Bournemouth in the offense trying to create the equalizer, but it's not happening. But Tilburg, it's really been the surprising team, honestly, in pretty much all lower bracket long. And they've lost against Bournemouth in the second game, but definitely the third game was theirs, and this fourth game, they have to lead again.
Yeah, Tilburg kind of came out of nowhere in this playoffs. Nobody expected them to be this strong. They looked like they were okay in groups, but since playoffs have showed up, they've been a different team largely. I think, I look at it, I think Tom has been absolutely massive, but we've seen King Kong score goals. We've seen Smickelbear involved in these plays as well. And definitely helps. That pinch surely can't just go in at the other end of the pitch. Now Smickelbear just about managed to get back underneath that, used all his boots to do so though, and this challenge will be tough, but Smickelbear doesn't care. He wins anyway, and now it's just one-on-one with Cloud. Cloud bouncing around under that ball, did a good job of faking that ball. Plenty of time for Tilburg to get themselves involved in this play, and Tom, he wants to be real involved. He goes under that ball, he flicks it under. As it was a fake. He was trying to fake out the defenders, I swear.
Well, yeah, let's just say that. Well, it's still Tilburg here in the lead with, only 1 goal, and it can be really, really, nerve-wracking for Bournemouth. We know that Bournemouth, they can be really on offense, but they're yet to let that see to us and let it show to us that they can actually do that. Well, we have seen a lot of pressure coming from them, but every time the Tilburg defenders were just in the way, and with 2 minutes remain, Bournemouth, they know they gotta win this game, because otherwise Tilburg are in series point. Oh, that was nearly a great offense there by Bournemouth, and this is really awkward for the Tilburg defender, but it can still be cleared away somehow. But Bournemouth, they really need to get something in offense going, because of course one goal down. Tom there with an important save, a really crucial save for him. But 1 minute 45 seconds to go. Tilburg still 1 goal lead.
Yeah, and Bournemouth, one of these incredible offensive teams, have not scored in the last 8 minutes now of Rocket League that we have played in this series. And that is insane. The Tilburg defense just holding strong, and it's not just been because Tilburg are all over Bournemouth offensively, it's been because the Tilburg defense is holding so strong. But when Tilburg get up into this Bournemouth half, they look aggressive, they look threatening, they're looking for bumps in the goal line while someone else is going for shots, and it works out for them so often. Tom is bumped away instead. That's a shot on target. Cloud sitting in the way of that one this time around. A better shot could have maybe beaten them. That could have again maybe been 2-0, but so often it could have been 1-1 as Bournemouth launch one towards the goal. Smickelbear and King Kong both up. The double commit on that play, but the pinch between them means that the double commit has worked out flawlessly. This is great. Tilburg now looking for a chance to go offensive again. Still looking for another goal in this game. It was just 1 though that decided the last game, Dennis. It could just be 1 that decides it again. Bournemouth won't want to leave it that way though.
Yeah, well, it will be a 1-goal game again. Yet another one for Tilburg. Well, of course, it looked like it 45 seconds to go, but Bournemouth, you can't count them out as of yet. They're still here in the series, wanting to survive in the EURC. And Tilburg only 2 games away. Well, make that 1.5, or maybe even less, to go.
Only 30 seconds. It's so close.
Coming out from Tilburg.
It's fine. They've survived again. I don't know how they keep getting away with it when they send 2 members up to those balls. Tom is going to go over this with no good recover in the air, and a good demo onto Will means that this is space for Tealberg. That's off the back wall. It's going to drop directly in front of the goal. It's misread by Smickelbear. No, it's not. No, it's not. I called it wrong. Smickelbear's put another one in, and it is 2-0 to Tealberg.
2-0 to Tilburg, and you probably could say this will be game done and dusted. Game number 4 looks like it's going to Tilburg yet again, and well, of course, they only 1 game away then from the series, from winning this series against, the favorites in Bournemouth University. Well, it really looks like it. Are they going to score the 3rd? It looks like it's all over right now. It's going into the middle, and it will be snatched in by King Kong. It will be a 3-goal game, and Tilburg winning this game number 4 in, well, quite a good way for them. Very, very strong. 3 goals against Bournemouth, no goals conceded, and the defense was clean, the offense was clean from Tilburg, and everything was really good from Tilburg.
A 2-game-long clean sheet against Tilburg. Bournemouth might have managed to ruin the perfect playoffs run from Tilburg, but it's looking like they were only able to slow it down, not stop it. It is now match point as we head towards Game 5. Tilburg have taken the advantage, and they've taken it well after Bournemouth came back with a huge Game 2 in this series. They won, 4-1, 5-1 by the end of that match? It's now a 3-0 win just 2 games later for Tilburg, as they haven't let a goal in since.
Yeah, definitely. If they can just defend Bournemouth so well, that just shows how good the defense is from Tilburg. Bournemouth probably one of the best offensive teams here in the EURC, and actually just defending that well for Tilburg, defending Bournemouth so well. 2 games scoreless for Bournemouth, and let's just say something. I don't even know if that happened here in the EURC. Bournemouth 2 consecutive games in a row, of course, not scoring. That's something, something remarkable, and definitely Tilburg, they know that, and Tilburg definitely what they know is they're only 1 game away from winning this series. Bournemouth still are in the race here to win this series, but it's going to be really hard for them.
It's going to need to be 3 consecutive games for Bournemouth if they want to come back and take this win over Tilburg United. And I'm going to give you an even more exciting fact right now, Dennis. I'm going to throw it out to all of our viewers at home as well, which is that Bournemouth in the EURC have yet to lose a series with their full main roster playing. They've had a sub a couple of times. They've lost a couple of series with their sub. But with their full roster, they've yet to even lose a series. And this is now Tilburg United putting them on the precipice of that loss. A 3-1 with 3 games potentially left to be played in this best of 7. Tilburg United are looking to just close it out in 5.
No, definitely. Tilburg, they're trying to do that. And Bournemouth trying to come back here. Of course, only one thing. Tom! He does it at the 17 seconds in, and oh my, Tommy, we've talked about this guy already. Last year was against Groningen, but this time as well against Bournemouth, he's been incredible for Tilburg, and he's so important for Tilburg. Even with goals, saves, or assists, it doesn't matter for him because he will just do his mark for Tilburg.
And Bournemouth, are they cracking under the pressure of this EURC lower round of 12 right now? If Tilburg got their number, it sure feels like they have. At least it has in the last 10 minutes when Bournemouth haven't even scored a goal in that time. Of course, Tom might be able to help them back a little bit. He was feeling bad for them, and he'll pop it up. That's donated to Onos, who carries it through the rest of the defense to get one finally back for Bournemouth.
Yeah, and that is really the mistake from Tom there. He definitely should not pop that one up. His teammate was pretty much there already to go for the clear, but Tom just popped it over his teammate, couldn't get a follow-up either, and there is an opponent scoring the ball. And yeah, you can't give Owners so much space. But now on the other side, it will be it will be safe this time, but Bournemouth would really have a game on our end.
Oh, we do have a game on our hands as Bournemouth have managed to put another one in, and this is Tilburg maybe getting a little bit over-eager to close the game out right now. They committed too many members up. Smickelbear trying to rotate back around. Poor touch for that, and Will, he doesn't want Onos to have another, or he doesn't want Cloud to have one. He'll just steal that one away at the last second, and we are now at a 2-1 game for Bournemouth.
Yeah, I think when Tilburg already had that 1-goal lead here in game number 5, I think they already saw the win. I think they already thought they had won that series. Well, Bournemouth still here with a double save there from them, but Bournemouth now with a 1-goal lead and 4 minutes to go. It can go anywhere, but Bournemouth so far has done a really good job coming back in this game number 5. But Tilburg trying to make, of course, the equalizer here, and it will be King Kong trying to get the second tap there from the sidewall. But Tilburg, they're trying to get a second goal, but Bournemouth trying to defend the lead now and trying to get their second win of the series.
Yeah, we have our eyes on King Kong. It's been Tom for a lot of the series, but King Kong has been the goal scorer as much as anyone else for this Teal'c side. So when he has the ball on the top of his car, you need to sit up and pay attention. Teal'c, they've definitely had the pressure for the last minute or so here. They're keeping Bournemouth pinned in their own half. Finally, Bournemouth are going to get a chance to actually get up here and maybe try and get another goal in. That's going to be just about wide of the target. That was so nearly 3-1, matter of inches there as Bournemouth maintained the 1-goal lead. But this could give a chance for Teal'c to come back up. 2 members of Bournemouth have committed to that ball in the air. It was slow enough and in the middle of the pitch enough that nothing more to come for the time being. Bournemouth now with the pressure, with the shooting chance. That's a good bump in the air. They really want to get out of this half. You know, there's still plenty of time left on the clock, but all the time ticking away, when you're at a deficit, it just gets to feeling worse and worse.
We see an in-foot pass right now. Well, not really an in-foot pass, but just a pass to the left side of the field. Not really connecting between the Tilburg players, but really Tilburg, you know, in the offense trying to create something, but it's really a lot harder. But, you know, it could just, you know, be one single goal. We have seen it in the last 2 games where, you know, one single goal could already make such a difference. Well, of course, last game it has been won with 3 goals against 0 by Tilburg, but definitely that single goal, the first goal, was a huge one. I think if that one hasn't been scored, that really Bournemouth, they could have won that game as well. But you know, so far it is a 1-goal lead there for Bournemouth, and Tilburg, they haven't seen a lose, haven't been down by 1 goal for the last 2 games, I believe. And you know, that's something new for them. So we just have to see how they go coping with that double commit coming out of Tilburg in the offense, but not being scored by them.
Yeah, but Tom, again, under this, they do look threatening so often. That's just going to slip wide of the post. Tom back into the middle. Will with a good touch to get it clear, and even better than getting clear is put it onto the roof of Onos, who's going for a bit of a musty off that sidewall. It won't come off for the time being. It was nearly put in by Teal'c in response anyway, but it will just be back to pressure for Bournemouth. Cloud's looking for a crazy angle off that top right corner. Onos maybe had to follow for half a second there until he was denied by Teal'c. But Teal'c are all of a sudden back on this back foot, and we said it earlier, this is not where they want to be. When you are down a goal, you can't afford to spend too much time in your own half. You need to be up, pressuring, looking for the cracks in the Bournemouth defense. You can't afford to give away another goal right now. It's going about so dangerously. Tom gets up and under it. Smickelbear chasing into this corner. Will have teammates in support in the middle as well.
Yeah, they were really trying to get the equalizer here in this game, number 5, but they're really struggling to get past that defense from Bournemouth. Bournemouth standing really well in the goal and rotating really well. Just everything is pretty clean from them. No mistakes really from Bournemouth. Well, only mistake I could say is they probably could have scored more. They had some chances. Well, right here they have another big chance, but it's going to be against the back wall and be cleared away by King Kong. But 49 seconds, the time is the biggest enemy now for Tilburg, and Tilburg really, they got to score rather sooner than later.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, you're 2 games up in the series. Bournemouth have to win 3 in a row. Teal'c, they've given up another one. I was going to say time has come. Just throw bodies at it, try and get something high risk, high reward. Unfortunately, it wasn't even a kind of risk that gave it away. It was just Cloud beating out the Teal'c squad in the middle of the pitch.
Yeah, well, with 39 seconds to go, this is really Tilburg. They did not want that third goal to go in, but no one there really in the goal to defend the ball away, and Bournemouth will take the third. Really, Tilburg pretty much needs a kick-off goal right now. It's not going to happen. Well, they still have a little bit of chance. Well, that's going to be a shot. That's going to be another shot, but will be saved by Will. A crucial save for him, and that's going to make the lives of Tilburg even harder and harder.
Yeah, it's going to be so difficult for them now. There's only 20 seconds left on the clock. 2 goals is definitely looking like a tall order, given it's only been 1 for them in this game so far. But hey, it's still possible. We have seen some ridiculous things already in this series performance. They're smart. They're just going to play this clock down. It's Onos taking it over into the side. He's controlling the ball. He's denying Teal'c even touches on this. And that was just wasted out the entire clock. Credit to Onos and a very smart piece of play at the end of that match. And it will drop to the ground. It'll be Bournemouth winning in Game 5, bringing the series score back to within 1, but still having to win 2 more in a row if they want to take this lower round of 12 match.
Yeah, Bournemouth taking this game, but you know, we have seen last time when Bournemouth won, we have seen Bournemouth winning game number 2, equalizing the series, but in the end, you know, Tilburg winning twice in a row. So, you know, I've said that Bournemouth, if they win, they could bring a lot of momentum, but we are yet to see that in this series. Well, if they want to survive in this, if they want to survive in the EURC, they have to bring the momentum into the next games. They have to bring the series to a game number 7, of course, winning game 6, you're about to see, and then, of course, winning game number 7 as well to progress to the next round. Here, of course, in the losers bracket. And for Tilburg, they still have 2 lives left. They have this game, which they can win. They are still in series 4. point, and they have next game to win it. So definitely, it is anyone's game, but definitely, if it's a game for one of these teams, it needs to be Bournemouth to bring the series to Game 7.
Yeah, Bournemouth will be hungry for it though, and after a 3-1 win there in game number 5, I mean, they'll have to feel like they can do it. They'll have to feel confident that this series is still within their reach. But Tilburg, I mean, look, you don't want to let it slip away. You don't want to go up to the 3-1 and then lose from that kind of position. And you don't really want to go to the Game 7 and have the potential there for it. And right now, the potential to deny the Game 7 was nearly kicked off immediately as King Kong launches one towards the crossbar. It was just about denied by Bournemouth on that attempt. And Tilburg, I mean, they struggled to get the chances as well. Who knows the next time one of those will come knocking.
That was some miss there from Tom on his own backboard, but luckily for him, no player from Bournemouth could manage to score that one in. And they had a really, really good start of this game. It hasn't been scored. Oh, that is nearly King Kong will open up this game number 6, and what a fashion they start to do so.
It comes off the ceiling. He does get another touch off the wall here as well, and you could see the defense. I think Cloud was watching as Tom came flying through as well, prepared to try and maybe make that save. Didn't necessarily think King Kong was going to have the extra touch, and just great offensive play, just a display of mechanics from Tilburg United, and they're really bringing it to Bournemouth, not just in this series, but now in Game 6, because it is Bournemouth who have to fight back from the deficit if they want to keep their hopes in this series alive. And it's going to be Tilburg still pushing forward. They want to start to put this game out of reach early.
Yeah, definitely Tilburg with a really early lead here in already the first minute. But, you know, the only downside of having a really early lead
is that you can lose it.
And equalized on Cloud will definitely do so. He just listened to me. Well, you know, you're saying, you know, they score in the first minute. Well, I can do as well. 4 minutes, 2 seconds to go, and Bournemouth equalizing here in this game number 6.
Man, so we are now down to just a 4-minute game of Rocket League. Back to where we started a minute ago, as it is all tied up and another kickoff comes through on this play. King Kong, again, the player to be carrying it forward, but he will this time be denied by a better piece backboard defense from Onos. That's awkward by Smickleberry. He's taking maybe a little bit too much out of that, but his bouncing, his flopping is maybe making his way towards that Bournemouth goal. That was a decent effort after the bump came through in the middle of the pitch.
Yeah, really. Tilburg, they had a really good start, of course, with a great goal of King Kong, of course, of Tom. What's King Kong? I think it was King Kong, I have to say. But now Bournemouth trying to get the second goal, but doesn't happen as of yet. But this game, it can go any way, and Bournemouth, they know they gotta win this game number 6. They really know it, and of course they were 1 goal down, but they equalized it, and it can be anyone's game from this point. 3 minutes, 20 seconds to go, but now a clear shot there for Tilburg, for Tom. Well, you would expect from Tom he would really had a good shot there, but it doesn't happen this time, and it's still equalized.
It's still equalised, but it's Tilburg come through with pressure. I think Tom just ran out of it before arriving at that ball, and that's why he couldn't quite find the angle he would have wanted. So Tilburg, they need to keep an eye on that as well. Boost control, you can't let it slip. It's one of your fundamentals. And just because you're in a close series doesn't mean you can give up on a dunk attempt here. Not quite going to come off as Cloud finds the angle to get that ball away from his own net for the time being. Ono's trying for the 50 at the other end. Will be denied by King Kong, but this is Will coming off with pace off the ceiling. He's left Cloud instead. Who's going to shoot? Who's going to be denied? He's going to be denied and is not going to find the follow-up with pass straight back down onto Will's car. That was nearly the miracle for Tilburg, but Bournemouth have found their miracle instead as they managed to sneak this ball across the line.
Oh, and I feel so bad for King Kong there. He had a miraculous great save there and nearly got a second one as well. He got a second one, but just got it into the middle. And Will was just waiting there and got a really easy shot there to get the second for Bournemouth. And Bournemouth trying to go for the third, but definitely they are on track to get this series to a game number 7. Definitely when Will does this, half time to go, and Bournemouth up by 2 now.
What a banger of a shot from Will, just slams that one home. There was defenders in the way, there was 2 of them in the way. Neither of them even with a prayer of reaching that ball, and it is 3-1. This is the scoreline that we finished game 5 on, but when we've seen Bournemouth get this aggressive this early in the game, a la game 2, they've definitely not been content with just the 3-1, Dennis.
Well, 3-1, it's, it are two goals down, and against a team like Bournemouth, it's still hard. But, Tilburg, I know they have it in them. They still have 2 minutes to go, but they just gotta, come back from this. Well, definitely when they're 3 goals down, Onos will just get it in. 2 minutes to go, 10 seconds, and well, Tilburg, it's not the Tilburg we have seen from the earlier games in the series.
It does, and it feels a little bit like ding, time's up for Tilburg. Bournemouth let them have a couple of rounds, kind of rocked onto the back foot there as Tilburg came out swinging in game 3. But Bournemouth seem to have found their pace again. Cloud's going to get back and cover that. The kickoff goal going to be denied on this occasion. Tilburg definitely now fighting from behind in this game, and if they lose here in Game 6 and they do it in an emphatic fashion like this as well, you have to feel it's going to be Tilburg on the back foot going into Game 7 as well. They've lost a lot of their momentum, a lot of the momentum that they had going in the middle of the series, but they're not done with fighting yet. Double touch attempt is there off the back of a great demo in front of the ball, and King Kong has put another one in. It's still 2-4. Last time, they came back to 4 goals, but the other team had 5. Now Bournemouth are only on 4.
Yeah, with 1 minute and 47 seconds to go, it's definitely possible. We have seen some great comebacks from Tilburg. Well, last time we saw them coming back to 4 goals, like you've mentioned, but it just wasn't enough in that game. But this game, it would be enough to make 4, unless Bournemouth can make another one. No, it will be saved by Cloud. Great save by him, but the time is really an enemy for Tilburg right now. They really do not want to let this series to go to a game number 7. Bournemouth taking 2 wins in a row. Well, that can be really dangerous for Tilburg.
Oh my goodness, what a save by Cloud just there. He heard us talking about the potential script for the rest of this game and decided to deny with an absolutely huge save. And right now the Bournemouth defense is looking strong as they rotate in. They get a good clear through as well. And there's no boost here for Smickelbear, so he's doing this with absolutely nothing. That'll potentially leave a shot open for Cloud, who will slam it off the side wall. It'll drop onto King Kong's car. His flip is a little bit wild, is a little bit under the ball, but it doesn't matter because Smickelbear has come through, has set it up for Tom, has given him a shooting chance. Double touch is not quite there. Tom had an open net, didn't even need to double touch, but couldn't quite find the shot. And that means we're still at 4-2 with a minute remaining on the clock. That was a chance to go into the last minute of this game as Tilburg with only 1 goal, the deficit. Instead, they're going in with 2, and Bournemouth will look to tie it up with a long-range shot from absolutely down. Will from his own back wall will make it 5.
Yeah, Will from his own back wall. Did not expect him to go all the way in, but no defender there really from Tilburg being in position to get the ball out and 42 seconds to go. Well, I think that is no comeback anymore for Tilburg. 3 goals down, 42 seconds. Well, it's still possible a game of Rocket League, but they pretty much need to get a goal right straight away. But they don't really get it. It's still Bournemouth with getting the pressure, getting the offense after that kickoff, and really it doesn't seem likely for Tilburg unless they can score. Well, get it in. 2 goals left, 27 seconds, and Tilburg, they're making it close here yet again.
All right, I've sat back up in my chair. I was a little bit slumped. I was a little bit defeated here for Tilburg as it looked like Game 6 was 100% gone. We were going to be heading to a Game 7 with a rough scoreline for them, but 27 seconds on the clock. Plays like that. Still a chance for Tilburg. We can't state enough how slim that chance is, but it exists, and Tilburg, they could still put this series to bed right here, right now, with a couple of miracle goals to come through. That's a good 50 to start it off, but King Kong is too slow into that ball. Cloud cuts it out, and we saw Onos just deny the goal ball at the end of the last game. Onos this time around will deny the comeback with another goal instead of just wasting the clock down.
Yeah, Bournemouth bringing back the cushion to 3 goals. And yeah, like you've mentioned, that is the end of the comeback now, confirmed. And Bournemouth taking game number 6, which would mean they won 2 games in a row. They're going into game number 7. Bournemouth, probably the favorites of this series, and it will be, it will be the game. The loser will get out, will be beaten out of the tournament, and the winner, of course, progresses to the next round. It's going to be a huge game. It's going to be a deciding game. It's going to be a game number 7.
Well, and as we head into this Game 7, the stakes could not be any higher. The loser, as you say, will be eliminated from EURC. And I mean, when you've made it this far from our field of 36 teams that we began this tournament with, what feels like an age ago, but really was only about a month and a half, to make it all the way to this round of 12, as both of these teams have done with very different journeys to get there, to now lose it all in a single game of Rocket League. Especially if you're Tilburg, sweeping through the playoffs up until this point, having the 3-1 lead in the series, or if you're Bournemouth dropping out after forfeiting your upper bracket match to get into this position, it's not going to feel good for whichever team has to go home. Conversely, whoever manages to clutch it out here, Dennis, it's going to feel amazing.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, winning a Game 7 is always amazing, but at this stage, you came so far. Of course, the last 1.5 months, like you've mentioned, you've been battling for this, and here you are. It's only the one game that separates these both sides from either going out of the tournament or progressing to the next round. Of course, here we are at Champions Field. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, a game number 7. You can't wish for more here. Of course, in a loser bracket, Bournemouth, the favorites here, coming back in the series, but still, we're definitely trying to make the mark and trying to progress to the next round.
And it could happen. We've seen magic out of this Tilburg squad before in this series. We've seen equally some insane shots, some insane defense from Bournemouth. And we're just going to have to figure out in this last game who does it. And that kickoff is not going to be a good start for Tilburg. You don't want to be missing those. Or, I mean, you know, even faking it just so risky at this point of the game as well. It'll allow Bournemouth to just feel like they're on the front foot immediately in this game, but they've triple committed to that ball and they've all missed it. Smickelbear, the clear isn't good enough. It'll go directly to Cloud. Tom with the save off the goal line. Will keep it clear for the time being. Will was challenged in the air by King Kong, who climbed high on that one to manage to get in a contest and maybe deny it. Tom King Kong can collide in defense as well, and are struggling maybe to get this ball clear. They really need to get it clear, though. You don't want to give Bournemouth the lead in this game 7, because Bournemouth, when they're playing with confidence, definitely look like probably one of the top teams in this entire tournament.
Yeah, well, definitely, you know, their offense, it is great, but here they have to prove it here in game number 7 against Tilburg. In the defense will score that, and I think there was a little bit of a bump there in defense with Tilburg.
Yeah, it's a little bit awkward between Tilburg there. They were just struggling to get all the way back into it, and Smickelbear gets bumped and then runs into Tom. That's a cool shot bump onto the Tilburg defense, and Bournemouth will take the lead here. Only 45 seconds in, they are now in a great position to take down this game 7.
Well, yeah, they're definitely having a good lead here. Well, a 1-goal lead, but definitely they will take that. Just a 1-goal lead, well, you know, it will just relieve so much of the pressure you're having going into game number 7. Scoring the first goal can be huge for, you know, both of these teams. And this time it has been Bournemouth scoring their very first goal of this game number 7. But Tilburg, they're not done yet. They still want to score. They're trying to score, but it is a great save by Cloud. And Bournemouth will keep the lead here with 3 minutes and 40 seconds to go.
It took 2 to make that shot. It took 2 to save that shot just there, as the double commit on both offense and defense has led to just a stalemate in front of that goal. Now it's going to be a shot. It's going to be a goal. It's going to be 2-0 for Bournemouth, and it's just 2s all around for the side, as Bournemouth have won 2 in a row as well and are now looking to add the 3rd and clutch the series.
Yeah, that would be the mistake from Tom there in defense. Just side flicking there where you shouldn't have side flicked. You know, probably try to pre-jump and try to recover, but at that point you're just too slow. You're just giving way too much space to Will, and Will just, you know, he's just gonna score that one, and Will bring it to 2 goals, 2-0 in this game number 7. But you know, there's still 3.5 minutes to go in this game number 7. It can go anyway, and Tilburg, they know they're still alive, but they need to score rather sooner than later.
Yeah, they need to score very soon indeed, but this is not good. This is Cloud launching towards the back wall. He's found Will up there, but Will didn't really have an angle to do much with it. It means, though, that Bournemouth will continue this attack and will continue to look good. And we've said it so many times for Tilburg in this series, you can't score from your own half unless you're Will in the last game, in which case, absolutely, you can. Tilburg, though, they need to break free. They need to be setting up shots in front of the Bournemouth goal, and this could be the chance. It's Tom with a lot of boost. It's Tom with flip reset. Tom, though, misses that flip, and that was definitely a chance it's gonna miss.
Yeah, you wish to see there Tom just bringing something magical to Tilburg, but you know the flip was there, you know the flick was there as well, but just not quite on the ball, and that could have been really dangerous to have full Bournemouth defense. But in the end, not being capitalized by Tilburg, and they're still losing here with 2 goals, 2-0 with half time remain. You know the time is ticking for them. They need to score, and well, they know that otherwise they will be out. Of course, they were 3-1 up in this series, but here they are 3-0, and Bournemouth really trying to go for the comeback.
Yeah, they really, really are, and you're right, they need to score, but they must know that, right? Nobody knows it better than them, and that's where the desperation is going to start creeping in. Potentially Smickelbear tonight again, as Tilburg will just start throwing bodies to the bottom. That's a great pass, that's a shot towards the bar. It's going to be saved. Will was just up for that, and the follow-up wasn't quite there in time. Smickelbear now able to do it. Tom coming off the side wall. It's going to come off the back wall. King Kong has been just set up for this one. It'll be denied. Oh no, what a save. Denies the goal. Keeps Bournemouth's lead at 2. The pass again. This was so much good offense, and it's been rewarded for Tilburg. They'll keep the game within 1, and they'll keep their hopes in this game 7 alive.
Yeah, Tilburg still alive. If finally they can find themselves a goal, because it took so many attempts on target, so many saves from Bournemouth, but in the end the defense crumbled, and Tilburg finally got themselves 1 goal, but they need one more.
Again, Smickelbear!
He does it all by himself. It is the equalizer straight from the kickoff. Smickelbear going full that touch, going for the demo as well, and actually it works out really well.
It's flawless. Cloud just not able to make the recovery in time to get that save. We're back in a tie game. There's a minute 47 left in this one in Bournemouth. We saw last time they took their foot a little bit off the gas. It was Tilburg who then went on to win the next 2-3 games in a row. The next 2 games in a row. This time around, if Bournemouth have taken their foot off the gas, all it needs to be is another minute and 30 where Tilburg are on top and their offense has looked stronger in the last minute of play or so. They just can't concede now. You can't give away this hard-won momentum, these hard-earned goals on another just silly mistake right now. And Tilburg, they're not looking like they're about to. King Kong's up for this in the middle of the pitch, gets it over 1. This is just dangerous. It always feels dangerous right now because these teams have both been so creative with their shooting and their passing, and this is going to bounce down dangerously. And Smickelbear had to win that 50. Win it, he did. King Kong is backwards on the goal line. 3-point turn. Comes through just in time to get that one clear, and there's not a lot of members of Bournemouth back right now. This is insanely intense as both of these teams battle to stay in the EURC.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the scoreline right now just describes how close this series has been, you know. The 3-1 lead for Tilburg in the series, going to 3-0, and in the end here we are 2-0 in game number 7. The comeback from Tilburg in this game has been phenomenal. But here Will goes for the ceiling shot, but can't quite get it into the goal with 40 seconds to go. It will be both teams keen to score the very probably last goal of this series, but it will be cleared away here by Bournemouth. And now Bournemouth trying to create something, and the opposing net. Now the ball goes in front of the net. Oh, Smickelbeer with the save, and well, Tilburg, they stay alive. Yet again, a shot coming in, but will be saved by Tilburg yet again.
They're still alive, but it's so scrappy in front of goal. They need to reset. They need to recover. Will is keeping this one up. They're not giving any time for Tilburg to actually catch their breaths here in the last dying seconds of Game 7. As you said, this is probably the final goal of the tournament. It could be the final goal. One of these teams sees go. It's in at all. As King Kong is bumped out of the way, Tom needs to turn. I don't know if Tom has boost. Tom is going to be 50. Tom, has he recovered? Not quite. Oh no, he can't keep it up. He can't keep it up, and that means we go to overtime.
Tilburg, how did they survive? They're going to game number 7 overtime. If Tilburg wins this, Bournemouth, they will hate their lives forever, because that should have been a goal. Oh, Tilburg in the offense now trying to create something, but it will be cleared away by Will for this time. And that looks like an open net. No, it will be cleared away by Tilburg. But oh my, that last 2 seconds of regular time, that was nerve-wracking for both Tilburg and for Bournemouth.
Absolutely mental right there, as both of these teams will have their nerves frayed whatever happens in this overtime. But an overtime is what we have, and an overtime, this is where the pressure really starts to mount up, and it looks like Tilburg maybe have made the mistake that will give an opening. No, Cloud can't finish, and there was no commitment from anyone else. He didn't want to dive in there and potentially give up the goal at the other end. You can see the nerves coming through, as no one wants to make a mistake right here. Nobody wants to give up the goal. That was nearly the dunk by Onos. What a way that would have been to end it, as we just wanted this. But just give me a goal worthy of this series, worthy of being the last one to go in.
Yeah, now of the players, they just really nervous. You could just see it, just trying to bang the ball away from the net. Now Tom with a really good play, trying to get the ball into the middle, off the cross.
It's over, it's out.
Clear there by Bournemouth. And they still alive, and well, both teams really had a chance to win this series here in Game 7 OT, but both failed to do so, and we still keep on playing here in Game 7 overtime.
I cannot believe that this is still ongoing. As you're right, both of these teams could have definitely ended this series, and right now it's Tilburg who are in the position to. Once again, the back wall clear is good from Bournemouth, though we've seen those come up clutch for them in this series already before. Cloud will just cut that ball out in the middle of the pitch, and we'll be back in the Tilburg half now. Keep eyes on this play. Tilburg are under pressure right now. That's off the back wall. Cloud is still sitting there. Cloud still has control of the ball, but Thomas rotated back in. The shot was just too slow, too weak to beat any of the defenders from Tilburg on the line. Good pass forward. King Kong, Smickelbear. Smickelbear has 2 players waiting in the middle. They're in fact waiting behind him. They'll wait for that play to come through. Good touch forward by Will. Has a player in the middle again, as the passing plays coming through from these teams are stretching defenses to bending points, nearly to breaking points, but never quite to cracking.
Well, yeah, with every shot, both teams are firing off. It's so scary, and yet again, Will here with another save. So many saves already in this overtime. This one off the backboard will be cleared away by Onos, and you know, Tilburg really trying to get this final goal. You could just feel the nerves of the players here. You know, I'm just nervous myself. I'm not even playing. I don't know how the players are coping with this. All these players on the field, just, you know, so long they've tried to battle, to struggle to go to this round. And here they're Game 7 OT. The next goal will, of course, win, and the other team will go out. And of course, for 2.5 minutes in this OT, it can go anyway. It has been so close all series, and we still keep on battling in Game 7 overtime.
Oh, it's just not done. We're nearly 3 minutes in. We're waiting for a goal. That was a chance for Cloud. Instead, he gets demoed, and that means he'll be back for the defense on this play, but he spawned on the wrong side of the pitch, so Will needed to get that touch, and he's done it well. It'll drop directly in front of Cloud, who's now getting himself back involved in the play after that last demo. Will passes into the middle pitch. That means there's a chance. Oh, well saved on that one. That was dangerous from Will. He nearly set up a chance for Tilburg, but in the end, it's led to a chance for Bournemouth up at the other end. Launched off the back wall. Rotations coming in. Miss off the back. Smickelbear's dropped it. That could be it. It won't be. King Kong gets under it, and somehow Tilburg get away with that, and somehow Onos doesn't manage to win the 50, and somehow we're still going 3.5 minutes in overtime.
Yeah, I have no idea what's happening. You know, so many chances as well, but then in the end, to finish it off, it's just, you know, being asked a little bit too much for the players. Kinko now pops it up, trying to follow it up by himself. No one there from his teammate trying to follow. Well, Tom is there, actually, trying to get the ball into the middle. Oh, King Kong there! Nearly snatched that one in, but we still keep on playing here. Now Bournemouth trying to create an offense. Oh, that is a free hit for him, but it's going to be saved by Tom. Great save by him. Smickelbeer demos Will, but there's not going to be any danger there for Tilburg. But, you know, 4 minutes in, and really both teams really they struggle so much with scoring right now, and yeah, a lot of shots being fired, but none of them are able to you know, pass the defenders. It's really been, you know, the defenders game, not really the offenders game.
Yeah, absolutely. This series has been by parts high scoring, then low scoring. That's it. No, it's not. Tom gets up for the follow-up touch. Won't quite find it. Will is sitting under it, but he gets the ball stolen off his car by Tom. Will Tom be the one to end it right here, right now? Has the shot, launches it towards Cloud, misses just high. King Kong turns it around, puts it high, though. That's very, very high. Smickelbear will be beaten, and we are in just one of the lowest scoring phases this entire series has seen so far. We're nearly 5 minutes into overtime without a goal for either side. Tom off the back wall. Can he get up for it? No, Smickelbear can't, but no, King Kong. He's missed it. The double touch, the triple touch isn't there, and somehow, with all of the Bournemouth defenders finally moved out of the way, finally the play had come true for Tilburg. They can't find the shot that was needed to win it all, and so we'll remain locked in overtime for another few seconds until another shooting chance comes through.
Well, we literally have had 2 Game 7s at this point, 5 minutes, and then 5 minutes in OT as well.
No way, that's it!
Oh, no,
that's it!
Again. Onos will decide it for Bournemouth, and that's pretty much came out of nothing. Tom trying to keep it under control, then also his teammate tried to go for it. King Kong, Smickelbeer in defense, couldn't get the ball out, and that will be game done and dusted. Bournemouth taking the OT after 5 minutes played in overtime, but that was a series and a half.
Wow. Chance finally to catch our breaths, and you're right. Honestly, Dennis, you called it. That goal, it came out of nowhere at the end of it, as overtime goals so often do. Momentary lapse in concentration, and such a shame that it came from Tom, who has been such a standout player for Tilburg all playoffs long. Just passes it down in front of the goal, and his team just aren't in a position to get the follow-up save. It's unfortunate, but that's Rocket League. It is cruel. After 2 full Game 7 overtimes, that's what it took, you're right, to get Tilburg out of this tournament. It'll finally happen. It'll be Bournemouth to do it. And while they were the favourites coming in, well, for many this is an expected result, I think Tilburg definitely made them sweat for it and definitely pushed them much further than I think anyone was ready for.
Well, just sweating. I think it's just not the right word. I think they just made Bournemouth's heart beat like they've never done before. It has been, you know, a great game of Rocket League, a great series of Rocket League, and in the end, Tilburg did really well. You know, coming back in that game number 7, but in the end, it wasn't enough. Having a 3-1 lead probably should have done more with that, and Bournemouth just came back really, really well. But I think, you know, Tilburg, you know, they've played well pretty much all playoffs long. A 4-0 against TOD Apes, a 4-0 against Groningen. But then here, 4-3, Game 7, 5 minutes OT, they fell off against the favourites of Bournemouth.
Yeah, they absolutely did. But of course, playoffs isn't over yet. That's just one series. We have another one for you tonight. And it is, of course, going to be our only upper bracket matchup of the night. We're going to have Erasmus Esports Rotterdam versus the Portsmouth Paladins. Stick around because it'll be an exciting one as well.
tired of the pain. Go away. I'm done with yesterday. Water. I fell where my demons dwell. My own little nightmare, I call it hell. Oh well, it's time to get back up, climbing and climbing. I'm done with this ride, is what I tell myself, so I could feel something else. Yeah, I guess I had my bad days, but it doesn't mean I lost my style. Darling, where were you when my heart was on the ground? I thought time would prove that you would stick around. I guess time stood still, a king without his crown. Now I'm breaking and you're faking, girl. You never made a sound. I'm tired of the pain. Go away. I'm done with yesterday. Water. And you shouldn't fight alone, but if you wanna travel, then go alone. Yeah, what's the point in us if I never know? If you're gonna leave, I'ma let you go. If you want it and you shouldn't fight alone, but if you wanna travel, then go alone. Yeah, what's the point in us if I never know? If you're gonna leave, I'ma let you go. I'm falling. Tell me why I'm falling. Oh, life's calling, but it's hard because I'm falling. I'm falling. Tell me why I'm falling. Oh, life's calling, but it's hard because I'm falling. Falling, falling, falling,
Welcome back to the panel. We have no time to catch our breaths here as we are just launching directly towards our next series of the night. As I said, our only upper bracket series of the night, which means that both of these teams have already booked their spot in the top 6 teams in Europe. And that means that they will be playing for sure on Sunday, the 25th of April on finals day. But of course, one of the teams will win tonight. One of those teams will go on to guarantee themselves that spot in the top 3 guarantee themselves prize money here, and that is exciting because we have Erasmus Esports Rotterdam versus the Portsmouth Paladins. And Tylacto, welcome. You're looking very fresh, very clean shaven, very young, and it's exciting to have you on the desk. What are you feeling about the Portsmouth Paladins coming in? This is the first time we're going to see them in playoffs, and the first time we've seen them in a while on stream.
Yeah, it really is the first time we've seen them for quite a while. It's very strange. Can I be honest? Very strange. I've gone from looking 25 to looking 15. I'm still slowly setting in, as I think it's fairly set in that Erasmus do probably come in as favourites, though only really because of Portsmouth's performance domestically in the NSE playoffs. I think it's fair to say they'll have been disappointed, dropping out as early as they did. Honestly, just credit to UWE, one of the stories of the season. Did a fantastic performance. So a fantastic performance was the day for Bournemouth in them NSE playoffs, and you'd have liked to have think the now UK champions would probably have seen out that series there more comfortably, but maybe it's just credit to Tilburg taking that all the way to Game 7 overtime.
God, I do want to credit Tilburg. I mean, look, the fact that they managed to 4-0 sweep the Mojitos in the series before that as well. Like, Tilburg definitely came into this playoffs a lot harder than I was expected for, but we have no time to talk about that series. We're moving directly on to Iferia, and that means we're going to ask him again. I mean, look, unfortunately, token Dutchman. How are Rotterdam going to do in this series? You know, like Tylacta says, they probably come in maybe as potentially a slightly favourite team.
Look, I must say, I suffered absolute heartbreak in the previous one. My heart is in a million pieces, and
shouldn't be asking you anything.
But hey, I said it was going to be extremely close. It couldn't really be much closer than about 5 minutes of overtime and OT. But as you said, we can't talk about that previous game. That's all in the past. But Portsmouth's taken a very easy victory last week. Is going to well, I don't necessarily think affect this series a lot. And Erasmus, they are looking strong at times. They haven't managed to find their consistency a little bit more, sweeping FHDW in the previous weeks. I think they've got it in them.
Yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned, Erasmus joined that club of teams that have managed to sweep someone in the playoffs last week. And doing against FHDW, you know, sticking with that, FHDW came into the playoffs as a team that was definitely no slouch, finishing second in Group A. You know, I think I was expecting them to put up a bit more of a fight in that matchup, and Erasmus definitely came in hot.
Yeah, I think something switched at FHDW at the start of the playoffs, because they also only barely beat Stuttgart with a substitute without their best player due to circumstances. I want to say Rotterdam are slightly overrated right now, honestly. Just going to put it out there. I've got numbers from the last 3 games. Do you want to guess the last 3 teams they've played at all? No. Okay, so FHDW a sweep. It was the Wrocław Bankers before that. That was a sweep, and before that it was Rome, which was a forfeit win. So they have not had the best practice heading into this series. Now, admittedly, they've probably been grinding their scrims, grinding ranks, but that doesn't bode well for them, in my opinion.
It doesn't, but I think, you know, you do still have to look across the Portsmouth Paladins and say, well, you know, they didn't have actually play in the playoffs yet, so they're equally kind of far removed from a decent game of Rocket League here in the EURC as well. And Iferia, I think, wants a chance to defend Erasmus, do you?
If Mike Tyson goes up against a bunch of kids, you know what the outcome will be. So it's not really that comparable that they have kind of taken down easier opponents. But that being said, I'm not disagreeing that it will be a challenge and a half for Erasmus, regardless of them being Mike Tyson, greatest of all time or not.
All right, well, look, it is definitely, I think, either way going to be a battle of 2 heavyweights there. I think calling either one of these teams children, given the point of the tournament we're at, is maybe a little bit unfair. But with that, we're going to head directly towards our predictions. And Tylacta, now that these two have had plenty of time to snipe at each other, now that you've gotten to hear both of their opinions, which of these 2 heavyweights do you think comes in with the bigger haymaker?
Oh, it's a very difficult question here. Honestly, I do think Sigmoid has a point. I think Erasmus are definitely still a little bit overrated, though I think they're overrated for a reason. I'd like to think Portsmouth have been putting in the work, and despite their disappointing previous performances, we know the quality they've got on that team. And with a slight bit of underdog factor, I do want to predict them, but this is a UK university performing in Europe, and despite Bournemouth clutching it up, I am used to disappointment, so I will stick with Erasmus Esports Rotterdam.
Sigmoid, he's sticking with Erasmus Esports Rotterdam. You've told us that you think they're a little bit overrated, maybe that Portsmouth are coming in strong in this matchup. Are you going to stick with that when it comes to the prediction?
Now, I am. I am. I'm going to stick with Portsmouth. I'm going to back the official world #1 player for standard game modes right now. That's Psycho, by the way, in case anyone's wondering. And it's going to be close. I think if they take it, it's going to be 4-2, 4-3. But I do think Portsmouth can win.
Well, I hope our viewers can take another game series, because that's what Sigmoid's calling for. And then we're going to head over to Hyperia to tell us exactly how many games it's going to take Erasmus Esports Rotterdam to close this one out.
4. No, that'd be too much of a hype man kind of prediction. I'm not going to go that way. I do think that Erasmus will win. But sure. I think it's going to be in a 4-2 fashion. After losing the first game, then getting 3, losing 1, getting the final one in the bag. That is exactly the way it will go.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. And honestly, I'm going to side with Erasmus Esports Rotterdam as well for my prediction. I think, they had a tough group. They clutched it up at the moments they needed to clutch up at. And when it comes down to practice, I'm sorry, Sigmund, I don't think either of these teams has really shown much of anything in the last couple of weeks. So I'm going to stick with Erasmus Esports Rotterdam. That means the desk is going to take it 3-1 in favor of Rotterdam. But I think a close series will all agree no matter what happens. And that means we are going to leave Tylacto and Hyperia to get on with it as we head rapidly towards this series.
Okay, Hyperia. I mean, I think it's fair to say that we've got the series that we've been addressed with here, quite the upper bracket stonks. This is the upper semi-final of EURC. The winner of this series, of course, they're already going to be appearing on finals day. Of course, that is the big day, the 25th of April, and we'll be seeing you all there. But this series, you want to set themselves up as best as possible, because winner of this, they confirm themselves as top 3. And that means no matter what, you're into the prize pool.
Yeah, as soon as you have cash, you just feel a lot better. You don't really... Yeah. I mean, from that point out, it gets I feel like a lot less serious, especially with Rotterdam not necessarily taking this the most serious they probably have taken anything in Rocket League. So as soon as they're in the prize money, we might just see them fall off a little bit. But right now, being on the verge, I do think we might just see the best we've seen Erasmus or Rotterdam maybe ever, since they might have just said, hey, look, okay, we didn't really play that series from the start. We didn't really necessarily care about it that much, but let's actually try now, since we are this close to the prize money, and why not practice for a few hours, right?
No, that's a fair point, as to be honest, I don't know why I didn't consult my Lava Lamp Hyperia in terms of getting the prediction correct. I mean, in NSE, of course, my Lava Lamp got every single prediction correct. I can try and get a word out of it, but now that we've already made our predictions, who knows if I can get a squeak out of it. Like, it ain't saying nothing. Now that I've already predicted, it says I've sealed my own fate there. So who knows whether Portsmouth will be able to prove me wrong. I didn't consult the Lava Lamp, so of course I can be wrong. Didn't want to kill off the tension, I guess, because now that everyone knows the power of the Lava Lamp, we know that if I said Erasmus were going to win, then they absolutely would have, and vice versa. But no, I am hoping for a cracking series, because as you say, we may see some of the best Rocket League out of these two teams that we've seen all season. Erasmus, I do think they have been very well tested against the likes of Loughborough, the Beckett Bears, and that incredible series against Dusseldorf. But in terms of Portsmouth, domestically, when we've seen them, I always feel like I should be expecting better of them. Maybe I'm just getting used to the disappointment now, but I truly still believe that there's a sort of 5th or 6th gear that we haven't seen them in yet.
Yeah, usually that is pretty concealed until they absolutely need it, or maybe even until that final minute or so. You pretty much always see in the final minute, all of a sudden, all the boosters get turned on and they start playing out of their minds, but usually it's too late. So at that point, it's a little bit unfortunate, but I would really like to see a phenomenal game, because to be honest, Alacto, we've been hyping this up, and I'm expecting, I mean, I'm half expecting just a sweep from either side, just completely down the gutter, rinse it down.
No, I don't think we'll be getting it. I think the teams are both way too good to get the better of each other, no matter what the day is. And promisingly so, the players are now in the lobby as well. Of course, Game 1 is on Utopia Coliseum. I fear I can look at what Twitch chat thought of this series, but of course, remember that Channel Points predictions are not available in the Netherlands. And yet, despite that, there is still 10k points on Erasmus Esports Rotterdam. Definitely some confidence in them, though I have to say, nearly 54,000 points going on the Paladins.
Yeah, I mean, we can bet now. We can place our prediction, but we can't actually do something else with it. So, yeah, we only get a 2 behind our name.
Just a 2. I mean, at least it allows you to sort of feel involved. You know, you're part of Team 2. You're part of the Erasmus predictors, the Erasmus believers. Of course, they want as much belief as they want to try and put this series away as quickly as possible, I should say. As I think you're spot on saying that Paladins often turn up the heat later on in the games. We've seen some fantastic comebacks from them, but you're also right in saying that sometimes it has been too little too late, but that because of that same fact, while it may not be in an individual game, but as the series goes on, I feel like I back Portsmouth more and more if the length of the series gets drawn out.
Erasmus are just able to get back into it a little bit more. You can literally go either way with this pretty much every single time. But that being said, the series has started. We're a minute in right now, and it is completely tied up as Cameo is looking a little bit awkward, and Unco is forced to clear it out. Let's see what they can do as Erasmus. They just need to break away from this defensive side. They're sitting in the goal every single time.
No, it really is. Maxio does have time to run it down the line there, though finds little success. Raiko putting on the offensive pressure, and I do feel like that is where he is best. Hard player to play against there, but he's got the confidence of such 2 high-quality players behind him. He can sort of run free, but despite that, Psycho's challenge going to be under the mark, and Maxio is going to put the first goal of the series in the back of the net.
There we go. Air dribble off the backboard. And that is a good start out of Rotterdam. Obviously still plenty of time to make the comeback on the side of Portsmouth. It is going to be difficult now that a good start has been set for Rotterdam. They might be able to pull that through, but let's see what Portsmouth can do as Calio tries to get it on towards the opposing party. It is off the line. They are not done just yet on the side of Rotterdam, though. Unco doesn't have boost for a second go, and they're forced to back off.
Yeah, that was dangerous for Rotterdam again there. Somehow Portsmouth scrambling it off their goal line, and a big win by Psycho in the midfield is going to get them off defense as well as we approach half-time. Advantage is with the Dutch University, and Calio, his shot just too wayward to double the advantage, and Maxio may have found the net that time, but that shot going to go straight at Psycho. We remain at 1-0.
Yeah, we remain at 1-0 for now. But they do have to start doing something about it. The longer this clock just runs down, obviously the lesser your chances are. That being said, Rotterdam, they've been so incredibly offensive, and now Unco, well, that is a little bit rude as well, a little bit offensive. And the physical play coming through for Rotterdam, but we like seeing Maxio can't quite get it on target. Maybe a second tap actually out of him. Doesn't quite manage to get it. But Rotterdam, they're looking incredibly lethal.
Yeah, they really are. The question becomes, how is it not to? As Calio, his shot a corker of one, but it's going to find the crossbar and the post. The Abright bounce there, not being friendly to it, and still Portsmouth, the UK University, are just hanging on there as a loose ball could have given them a chance there, but Calio going to get away with that one. We talk about Rotterdam, we talk about the 000 threat, and it really has looked dangerous this game, but you have to wonder if Portsmouth somehow claw one back into it. It'd be incredibly frustrating given the fact that Rotterdam have somehow only scored 1 right now.
Maybe even the quad O threat is Unco, who obviously starts with an O as well. That being said, there's a decent opportunity for Portsmouth. If you don't finish those off, then how are you going to actually get back into the match? That was basically an open net, and they do not manage to capitalize upon it. And Portsmouth, they have to start from their own defensive half once again. Psycho looking for the pass from Mercy, but instead it's just a straight pass into Maxio. Comes soaring in like an eagle from behind. Doesn't surprise me out of Rotterdam, but it is a 2-0 lead now.
Indeed, they may not have to put all of their chances away, but Maxio is the marksman here in this first game of this best of 7 upper semi-final. If you look at the shot count, Hyperia, it's quite telling the story of the game so far. It is 10 shots to Rotterdam, and Portsmouth they've had 1.
at least they tried, and I think that one shot was an open net as well, but they just placed it on the bar, so that shot doesn't even necessarily count as much as one might think, because Sarnlux is always a little bit iffy with those shots. Psycho does have a good read on it, can center it now. Mercy should be able to get the second touch. Maxio did leave it uninterrupted. Then the breakout, Unko won't be there in time, so it will be Mercy taking over. He's just taking it a little bit too slow, lad. You've got 22 seconds. You got to move at a rapid pace. Instead, he just gives it away to Maxio. It's still an offense for Portsmouth Paladins, maybe even a fruitful one, as Maxio does clear out to the side. That might just be enough.
It really is good defense from Rotterdam. They're exactly how they'd have wanted to start the series here. Portsmouth would have wanted to take the wind out their sails with an early win, but no, it will not be the case. Mercy immediately out to change cars, and we saw this exact same pattern in NSE playoffs, didn't we, Hyperia? And it just didn't work. Mercy evidently frustrated. He would leave at the start, and sometimes before, not the start, but sometimes even before the end of a game, just to go and change car. You'd come back into the next game, and it'd be the exact same disappointment for Portsmouth, as he's trying to break that placebo, but it just, well, I can only say that it didn't work last time, but as a UK fan, of course, I can say hopefully it will this time. But Erasmus, that game one, it's fair to say, was comfortable.
That's kind of like New Year's, isn't it? Like, everybody says, oh, new year, new me. Turns out that 10 days in, they're doing the exact same thing. Now, for Portsmouth, or for Mercy specifically, that's about 10 seconds into the match. And you can have a car as a kind of momentum changer and something to switch things up. But if that doesn't work, you're going to have to go the good old route of just actually playing better, instead of hoping that some sort of outside entity, your lava lamp or something, comes to the power of Portsmouth and powers them up a little bit. I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I mean, it's too late. I think, in fact, I'm starting to believe that if we see more of this on Forbidden Temple in Game 2, then maybe the only thing that could have won Portsmouth the series would have been the magical lava lamp, but it did not come to the aid of either side in the predictions phase. So I'm afraid the Paladins, you're on your own in this one. But to be fair, as unconvincing as that Game 1 was from them, it is a best of 7, you know? It is a lot of time for them to respond, and if Erasmus get a little bit cocky, get a little bit confident, then who knows what windows might open up for them to get back into the series.
Yeah, that could just be... That is something that Erasmus are a little bit poised towards, that they might just get a little bit overzealous and think, oh, I can do the spinny flippy thingies and do them very often, and meanwhile they get shut down every single time, and they're just all of a sudden Peepo sad. Not Peepo, Pog. As that being said, Erasmus, they are looking to get back into this at the way they ended the last game off.
Peepo Pog, not Peepo sad, is the motto for this game for Rotterdam here on Forbidden Temple, as they be looking to keep their clean sheet. As we always talk about these long series, you want to get a goal on the board sooner rather than later if you're Portsmouth, but Maxio is going to get his third. Save some for your teammates, man, though this pass from Callio really created that one.
Yeah, and even if Maxio didn't put it into the back of the net, there was still Unko right behind him as well. It's honestly looking really strong out of Erasmus Rotterdam. That being said, there's still plenty of time to try and get that comeback. That is also exactly what I've said in the last game. And if Rotterdam do end up winning this one in a sweep, I'll just take that as revenge for the two Dutch teams that have been knocked out today.
The two Dutch teams have fallen by the wayside. Can Rotterdam avenge them is certainly a good question to ask, as that second ball, Ryko needing to be first to that one if he was going to get the ball in the back of the Dutch net, but he just couldn't quite get there in time. As I was talking about before that goal, the longer this series goes on without a Portsmouth breakthrough, without a Portsmouth goal for their confidence, the harder and harder it gets here. As Rotterdam, you can tell they're the more comfortable team. On paper, they're not significantly stronger, if at all, really, as of course Callio, an incredibly competent player, the likes of Mercy and Psycho, but like, you know, the raw premium quality of the teams is not massively tipped in any favour or the other, but it just, in terms of the performance, you would think otherwise. Rotterdam really have been on top, though. A big double commit will not get punished. Ryko choosing not to get beat to that second ball this time. He just didn't go for it at all, and you feel like maybe if he was more confident, he'd have been raring to go at that one.
Now let's see whether that Dutch performance can actually set through, as they have been quieted down a lot here by the Portsmouth side. A good bump coming in. Maxio makes a save, but it's not necessarily what you call comfortable as it pops in towards the center. Psycho is 3 miles back having a cup of tea. He does get involved now, and at the perfect time it is as well, as Mercy, he lays one up for him, and Mercy actually forces it through. That's the card change right now.
Yeah, it really is. It's a much needed goal. A nice pre-flip from him. Gonna find that top shelf and put Portsmouth really back on the map in this series. Maxio, clearly so much energy coming through from chat. He's just been supercharged by it and has been the difference maker so far. But maybe Portsmouth can get themselves back into this one. And if they can sort of get ahead in this game, it could be huge, as it's onto the backboard, plucked towards the far post, but off the post it comes.
Oh my, that was... Portsmouth have just turned things around. That really shows how much one goal can do for confidence. As a second one is it directly afterwards put back into the net. And that is Portsmouth now all of a sudden leading.
Yeah, we talked about that one goal, but Callio has just been knocked into a different dimension there. That bump was absolutely savage from Portsmouth. I need to check who the player was who actually got that bump, and you're spot on. That one goal we were talking about, the breakthrough that gives them that confidence. A nice demo on the back line from Callio, though, reminding them that Rotterdam are very much still in this. But with how absent the Paladins had seemed at the start of the series, if they could bring this one and see it out to get 1-1 going into the rest of the series, we have suddenly got one hell of a game on our hands.
I think Callio does have the flip reset. Indeed, he does. Can't quite get it on target, but Rotterdam, they're right back into this. The momentum swaying from side to side. It's an absolute ravaging right now. Portsmouth are looking to get it right back. It's a decent shot on target. And then Onko actually manages to clear it out, or I think it was Onko at least. Now into attack they go, but it was not much of an attack. Gets stopped dead in its tracks. Another one is kickstarted right away, but also that one doesn't really get quite far.
As Portsmouth still trying to break out of that defense, which they've had more success with now. In game one, so much consistent possession for Rotterdam. No flip reset this time for Callio, though it has made the defense scramble into a right mess. Could have been a chance, though. No shot coming through. Onko's been a little bit quiet on the offense compared to what we've come to expect of him. He was all over the place in the FHGW series, just couldn't stop scoring. But the ones who look like scoring right now are Portsmouth, and that shot not quite going to find the back of the net. How has that not gone in?
Oh my word, that is about triple homicide, what they've just gotten away with on the side of Rotterdam. The laws, I guess, being a lot more flexible. Now Callio looks to get it towards the opposing side. It's Mercy who stops that directly, but Onko might just have a free shot regardless. It's off the bar, so maybe the homicide case is returned directly. No, never mind, it's not, as Maxio does equalize.
Indeed, as it's down, back up from the crossbar bounce, and it falls to the one player Portsmouth did not want that to fall to. The man of the moment right now, Maxio, has been clinical. He got a brace in the first game, and his brace here in the second has tied up the game.
Yeah, now all of a sudden Portsmouth might just be a little bit scared after they surely felt as if they should have had a goal, but they might just be able to create one right here. Maxio performing very well on defense. There is still 40 seconds and the Rotterdam attack looming. Psycho has a massive boom out. Onko makes a defensive error and Psycho just forces it through.
It really does, as the questionable defense will come through. Poor Onko there, just difficult, misreading the backboard, but Psycho, he calls his bluff, and once again, Portsmouth pull in front.
Yeah, Portsmouth, they get in front, but for how long does it last? Does it last long enough to actually see this game through? As maybe just my answer or my question is answered directly. Not quite, but there is still Erasmus looking incredibly greedy for that one goal, as they should, because the 2-0 lead in the series was not very likely that's going to be happening now.
Game 2 is the story, and the one where Portsmouth struck back, as that one all the way around. Onko once again second best off the backboard, and this time Mercy slamming it in from close range, and that was Portsmouth's 14th shot of the game, and Rotterdam limited to just 6th. And we were wondering if, you know, Erasmus may get overconfident, may get cocky, but I think really it's just been Portsmouth finding that gear, really stepping it up, slapping them in the face and going, hey, You awake? Because we're still here, and the series will be all tied up.
Yeah, Portsmouth, they've fought themselves back very quickly. You always want to do that as soon as you can. You don't want to let the series get away from you, and all of a sudden you have to pull a reverse sweep, because good luck doing that. Now, they fought them back very early on, but can they actually continue this? Portsmouth, in that game one, they looked completely different, whereas Erasmus, they still looked relatively the same. And I guess right now it's going to be more of a case of how Portsmouth show up instead of how Erasmus show up, because Erasmus seems to be a pretty constant line and Portsmouth is a wavy one.
Yeah, it really is. That's the sort of Portsmouth that we really sort of expected to see most of this split, that we've just been kind of disappointed when they haven't shown up. The question is, can they do it for the whole of, or at least the majority of a series? We haven't seen it since the likes of Society Showdown, when they took that entire tournament looking fantastic, as game 3 will be on Urban Central. Portsmouth do come in with that little bit more momentum, certainly with the confidence after they've sort of proven to us, but also proven to themselves just how solid they can play, as it really was quite the masterpiece, certainly for the standards we've come to expect. And yeah, it's just really quite a surprise that game 2, such a different tone setter. I think we'd maybe almost just done them a disservice and somewhat written them off. I know I had half written them off in my mind, but you know, the difference between 1-1 and 0-2 in this series is just completely and utterly different.
Yeah, how quickly our rights of players or rights of teams, it's a little bit too much as well. As soon as they lose one game, it's like, yeah, nah, that's curtains, goodbye. One bad game. That's why I'm probably not a professional player myself, and well, a lot of other things as well. But let's just put it to that one specifically, as Rotterdam, oh my word, Psycho was forced to score an own goal. Maxia with 0 boost, he won't get a little power behind that. Maybe it's a little bit risky, as Mercy just had a free shot. Calio with a perfect block on it though, and I must say, Calio, what is that boost, lad?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the presence there. Really got to sort out the fashion advice for the Rotterdam players, to be honest. They're looking nice and coordinated in white, but yeah, that Christmas boost, last time I checked, Calio, it's April. You'd be better off with something Easter related, but clearly deliberately maybe trying to tilt the opponents, as the last thing I saw was Rotterdam players racing each other's to the boost. I do feel like maybe the pressure has started to set in. Like we say, this is for top 3. This is for Prizepool. This is for being able to play, likely the Berlin Phoenix, with a reasonably safe assumption, in that winners final. And what a place to put yourself in with seemingly nothing to lose. And if that sort of expectation, that sort of pressure sets in for Rotterdam, then you have to worry, will the nerves be on show? Because there is no nerves coming out of Psycho right there. Look at that rifle.
That is from the angle as well. It's not just a lot of power, but the accuracy is absolutely stellar. And it's not just like, oh no, they can win $10 each or something if they do manage to place top 3. It's 180 quid for the entire teams. It's really something that surely they're taking seriously, and I do believe that Rotterdam are very much taking this seriously. Psycho getting a good challenge in here. Mercy, can he actually whip that out? Whip it into the box rather. Calio, he looks to start that offense that Rotterdam has been lacking just a tad in the previous few games, I almost want to say. They have had flares where they're absolutely amazing, but then the flares that they're not really that amazing, this being one of them. The back pass goes straight into Unko, the defense looking shaky at best. They just outnumbered the good flares just a tad.
Yeah, it really does. The dominant Rotterdam of game 1 seemed like a long call away, though. Portsmouth getting a little bit too impatient there. They were pushed way upfield and it ended up going over their head, and they could lose pressure because of it here as we cross half-time. Can Rotterdam look to punish? Not if Ryko can get a booming pinch like that, and a loose touch, but it's going to be a nice pass. Tried to find Max here, but Mercier, he was one step ahead. Going to cut that one out, and Onko required again on that cursed backboard, and once again the fault. I mean, it wasn't a terrible clear, but it was telegraphed, and the address was right outside Psycho's door. He opens that one and picks that parcel up.
Yeah, so, I mean, it wasn't a terrible clear, but at the same time, it was, as you said, right into the opponent and his last man. You usually, that's not necessarily the best course of action, to put it right into an attacker where the net is vulnerable. But hey, you live and you learn, I guess, as Mercy takes to the backboard. Rotterdam, once again, I'll reiterate, they are looking shaky and they need to recover very, very quickly from this. Otherwise, we might just see them go down the path of we expected Portsmouth Paladins to go, where they wouldn't really have that much momentum. Now it's really
so
Portsmouth
easy.
Paladins who've turned it around.
Just look at the defense from Rotterdam, scrambling double commits just for weak clears like that. Another one, and Psycho has got his hat trick here. 3 goals from 3 shots, and I'm starting to be gutted at this point. My gut was really saying to go Portsmouth with the lack of expectation on their shoulders. You can see the pressure hitting Rotterdam here. Maxio, he's turned on the parking lights, and to be fair to him, that's a great clear considering he was in reverse. But the awkward situations they're getting dropped into just aren't ideal, and Portsmouth are in free flow, and it's good. And we were talking about the best of 7 benefiting Portsmouth, but right now Rotterdam will be the happy ones that they've got time to try and turn this momentum around.
Yeah, they could just vibe for a little bit and hit it off the bar and be absolutely furious with themselves. That was the post, by the way. Sometimes I do get them confused. It's their both just wood, isn't it? So that just ends up happening as a 3-0 lead for Portsmouth. Unlikely to be coming back from on the side of Rotterdam, and if they do manage to come back from it, they might just take this series from that point out, as the momentum gain from it would be massive.
Yeah, it really would, as that loose ball coming flying around the crossbar. Raiko up for the second touch. Will he find it? No, the post again gonna be denying, but this time Portsmouth, the ones being denied, as Psycho, his shot ricocheting just off target as well, and Portsmouth may look like scoring a 4th, but it just doesn't matter at this point. Rotterdam just want to see this one out. They just want to go next, because they are going to be hit back-to-back in the series here, and barring an absolute crazy comeback, it'll be 2-1, the advantage for Portsmouth.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see another miracle as the rebirth of the Lord himself, or at least not necessarily the Lord himself. I'm not that involved in it, but the 4-0, indeed, this is not going to be happening anymore. And Rotterdam, after that first game, they've just been completely swept to the side, and it's just Portsmouth playing their own game here.
4-0. Let that sink in for a while, I fear. It's not that Portsmouth have come back from seemingly not being in this series to win a game and then win the second in a row. This second one is a statement. A 4-0 win. You can imagine Erasmus right now. You think about the happy guys, the triple O. They're enjoying their time. They're enjoying their comms. But how can they be having the good vibes right now after this 4-0 consecutive defeat? You have to say they got to feel mentally not at rock bottom, but it's a real brought back to reality until they get them engines going again, until they get started back up, which of course they do have the time to do. But until then, as I say, I do worry for them.
Yeah, they have to snap back to reality, and nope, there goes gravity. All of a sudden, they're falling into a massive hole that, well, seemingly is just Portsmouth absolutely vacuuming a black hole underneath them, sucking them into no man's land, where Erasmus don't really know the way anymore. And they really have to fight back now. They have to fight against the forces of Portsmouth. They do have that lower bracket, which they could just go to, but you just want to go through the upper bracket, because then you don't have to put in any more effort really to secure prize money. As well, are you going to be beating Berlin Phoenix? That is a question for a different day. As Erasmus, I think they just need to bring it back this game, otherwise Portsmouth will just run away with it.
Yeah, as the worry, I could see Portsmouth running away with it. The shot count this game, again, 12 shots to 3 in favour of Portsmouth, and it's really starting to look like Sigmoid was onto something. I did tend to agree with him, though I didn't want to make out as boldly, because it was quite the statement to call out Erasmus Rotterdam for being, you know, overrated as boldly as he did say it. But there certainly was an aspect of how recently and how much have they been tested, and they're being really tested right here, back-to-back slaughtering at the hands of the boys from the south. And they've come up with no answers thus far.
Maybe they'll get some answers at the start of this game. And well, once again, that has been a case pretty much every single game. They do start off decently strong, where they really get a good offense going, can't quite capitalize, and then they seem to fall into that low. Psycho just having more boost in the tank, thus outpacing. I think it was Callio on the attack. Either way, it doesn't really matter, since it did not work out. Reiko, he's made it look like a full Onko, can't quite read it, and Mercy, he just will have the patience to wait that one out. As Callio hits it to the side, can he get a follow-up? Rotterdam, they've managed to keep Portsmouth at bay, but can they actually go out of the coast themselves?
As unfortunately Onko getting ahead of himself with that backboard read. A backboard really hasn't been his friend recently, unfortunately, and Kallio having to try and make a pinch with no boost is just going to get chatted out by Raiko. Mercy slamming it to the backboard again. Could Portsmouth be onto a weak spot here, though? That clear nice and big from Kallio is the answer there for this time. The double commit required, but the save is made as Portsmouth are beginning to turn the screw again as they, again, just burning this boost out of Erasmus. It rolls up, though, in a whiff from Mercy. Could be the window in a big one challenge by Maxio there. They're trying to shift this possession, trying to force Portsmouth to be the reactive ones, to put them on the back foot here. Kallio, underwhelming shot, though, considering his standards. Will find Maxio on the loose clear here, though this clear going to go all the way to Psycho, and Portsmouth just doing a better job of reliably linking up as they find that play again, though no one on that backboard bounce could see it. Which shift again, and oh my goodness, it's not going to find the back of the net. I thought Maxio had that double touch.
I was already expecting the clip out there being put on where it was a phenomenal setup, but then just the final few centimeters couldn't be reached. Maxio, surely that is a clip-worthy goal as well. Putting in the open net, good job Maxio, and putting Rotterdam in the lead now.
Has anyone else on Rotterdam scored? Is it just Maxio? I actually think it might just be Maxio right now. That one is certainly the easiest of his collection so far. Portsmouth, with quite the slip-up, could definitely have let Erasmus thoroughly back into that one, just able to run it along the ground, no problem at all, into the open net.
Yeah, now 3 minutes remaining as Portsmouth playing from behind. Oh my word, I was always going to say scratch that, but they do get away with it. Rotterdam, they have been getting away with very decent opportunities every single time, but there's a very decent opportunity. Mercy gets in the way of it. Rotterdam, they kind of look back to old, and with those passing plays, that was something that I was missing out of them.
That backboard hit, this time the double touch not coming out as Portsmouth have come close on multiple times but are without their breakthrough goal in this game. It is Erasmus, the ones with the leads to sit behind, but how long can they defend it? A big save from Onko is going to help them do just that, but the infield, the confident infield comes out from Portsmouth once again, though they're scrambling just to try and keep the pressure, keep the possession. Maxio, he wants to break out here. 50's two of them, but it pops high and loose. Psycho surely can't work too much with that one, but he does find Mercy and will force the save out of Kallio. Rotterdam are having to turtle up here, but they're doing a good job of doing it, and a pinch will certainly see that ball go deep into the Portsmouth end.
And they did have to turtle up, and it showed in their pace as well as the boost was just lacking every single opportunity that they had. Their Unco going incredibly unfortunate because he wants to take that corner boost. Oh, there was a player who spawned right in front of him, just snuck it out underneath him. He's not going to be happy, and the entirety of Rotterdam is currently not necessarily happy as they're just being put under so much pressure. Kallio whipping it out, but is it going to be enough? They do have some boost recollection. Kallio might even convert as the first one of Rotterdam, who isn't Maxio, to score, but they can't quite manage. If Rotterdam manage to see this one out, they'll very much take it, tie up this series, and with that also, we'll just get a little bit of momentum back.
Yeah, they really could. As like you say, the pressure from Portsmouth has been convincing. They're just without a finish to really top it off. Many times Rotterdam have been forced back as three around their goal, and it's never ideal. It's never comfortable, but right now it has worked as they have defended this 1-goal lead, and it would be huge to drag themselves to a 2-2 even scoreline, because if this one were to slip for them, they'd be down on match point. Looking at elimination to that lower bracket, Portsmouth would just be 1 game away, and it's so weird to say that after the first game of the series, though Rotterdam are beginning to come out of their shell this past 30 seconds or so, though you can tell they're anxious to head too far forward as they really don't need to press for a second. As much as they would like one, they put themselves out of position. That could be Portsmouth's best chance, and that was a good chance for Onko, though. Psycho, with a big save, is going to keep this comeback alive, though the time is really running out.
And I feel like if Rotterdam do opt to go for the back pass rotation or for the back rotation and a really defensive one, that's actually going to negatively impact them, as they're just so good at keeping the pressure on the opposing half, getting a boomer clear and getting right back to that pressure every single time. And with 1 second remain, 0 now, it does up to the ground, and Erasmus level it up in this series. And we're at least going to see a game number 6?
Yes. You're spot on. 6 is an out shooting there from Portsmouth again. Just 6 shots to 5 this time. The defense from Erasmus really finding a whole new step up there, as they're just sort of having to adapt to a different sort of game. Where Portsmouth, clearly the team that wants to take the initiative, that wants to have the majority of the possession. And the key point there is that they slipped up. They left that open net. And Erasmus, you could say they got lucky, but honestly, they played the hand they were dealt there, got that goal, and why wouldn't they sit behind it? A frustrating game for Portsmouth, who will probably feel like they deserve 3 in a row, but honestly, in terms of game plan, you really can't question that. Onko showing up with 4 big saves, and we head to a dead even 2-2 scoreline.
Yeah, this is for breaking that. What kind of deadlock that has been in place? I think this is one of the closest games that they've had thus far. Game number 1 was all Erasmus just putting on pressure and making Portsmouth work for it. And apart from that, was a little bit, well, left, right, center. So Erasmus, they might just be able to take the lead here, but that also obviously goes for Portsmouth, as they are going to put in their best efforts to try and get this one back. The game is about to start, and what a game it promises to be. Game number 5 underway, 5 minutes on the clock. Maxio and Psycho kicking us off. And let's see what happens here as Reiko already takes it towards the opposing side. And this is promising to be an absolutely phenomenal game.
Yeah, it really is. As you want to take the initiative, not just in the game, but this is the one to take it for the series, as you would be 1 point away from that upper bracket final, as a loose ball gave Kallio a shot, but then he remembered that he's not Maxio. He's clearly not allowed to score this series for Rotterdam, as Maxio himself will, of course I'm joking, trying to put the ball into the dangerous portion of the field for Portsmouth. As you know, early on in the series, it really was Erasmus Esports Rotterdam in that driver's seat, convincingly so as well, though 2 games back-to-back. Portsmouth are the ones who really seized the controls here, so it's just such a decisive one to determine who gets to be in the driver's seat and who just has to be the annoying passenger there, dealing out the snacks and reading off the sat-nav to say where they're going, because winner of this goes up 3-2, and then if you're on the receiving end of that, the amount of pressure on your shoulders is absolutely unbearable.
I'd actually say that riding shotgun is probably better than driving. You get to choose the music, you get to just vibe to the tunes and kind of drive along. Obviously, not necessarily the best thing to do in Rocket League, just vibe and chill, as Kallio is looking to do exactly the opposite of that, making the entire defense of Portsmouth scramble. But they do not manage to do that as of right now. Let's see, Kallio rips another one, and that catches Raiko completely off guard.
Yeah, an unconvincing double commit from Portsmouth. Onko gonna beat them both out, and what a pass it was. Kallio finding the top corner, and all Raiko could do was stand and watch. It's first blood, Rotterdam.
First blood, and that is what also happened in the last game. Maybe they just kind of lock up the defense once again. Right, does see it out, as that plan is probably not going to work. Psycho. Oh no!
Just ran out of boost. It was such an annoyingly tantalizing open net. You can see how scoreable it was, though. With the amount of boost he had, it was so painfully difficult to actually get into that bottom corner, though. How close he was. That's gotta get in your head. You were desperate for a goal all of last game. Erasmus shut you out, held on, and won 1-0. And when you're staring down the barrel of a similar situation, oh, that's gotta be tilting.
Yeah, that is going to be infuriating for sure with Portsmouth. They just have to keep on powering through, as they don't really have much of a choice here. They do have to score that 1 goal to try and get it level up in here. It's going to be a difficult task if you can't finish those kind of opportunities, no matter how awkward they might be. Those are opportunities you do have to capitalize upon. The Psycho gets to clear out. Unko is now final man in defense, whips that right back into the Rotterdam side. It's a decent pass infield. Unko just able to catch to clear out. Where's the defense? As Kallio would be right back, and that is what I mean. Rotterdam, they're so incredibly strong in staying in that offensive position. They're playing very aggressive, which could go drastically wrong on the opposite side as well.
Yeah, really could. Surely this is going to be one for Portsmouth, I thought, but Mercy getting so far around that ball. If only he could find that angle when he wanted to on the redirect. I feel like it was easier to sort of hit the target than it was to miss it. He was obviously trying for the convincing shot, and what a shot it could have been. Portsmouth have passed up 2 great opportunities, but the one who has scored 2 is Kallio here. He's doubled Rotterdam's advantage.
And that is that safety net that Rotterdam has been lacking a fair bit in the previous game. Now they finally have a little bit of easiness going into this game. They don't really have to tense up every single time they go for a relatively difficult goal, which they should be hitting. And Portsmouth, they did not expect Rotterdam to be having a little bit of a sexy time there and, well, bump each other up the entire time, really getting each other's paths.
Yeah, Maxio and Onko there breaking the rule 1. I'm sure that it would be incredibly highly valued there if they just accepted that Kallio would be in a 1v3, just held that rule 1 no matter what, and they're actually going to get rewarded for it somehow. But what? This is just an unholy goal. They've opened the holy grail here. Kallio has been received his touch back up. That cannot have been planned, but boy oh boy, was it magnificent.
It's like an eagle picking up a rabbit. You don't see it coming whatsoever if you're the rabbit. In Portsmouth, in that case, unfortunately for them, we're cosplaying as a rabbit right there in the 3-goal lead. And the way that Erasmus has looked, and that's not necessarily saying that last goal, yes, it was amazing, but it wasn't necessarily like amazing in a way that they actually planned it fully that way. So it's not necessarily going to completely demoralize Portsmouth Paladins. I do think they might have to start thinking at least a brief moment about that next game unless they can get a goal back in very quickly.
The question becomes, has Maxio hung up his short scoring boots? Because Kallio is the one who has put them on. Clearly, they're just the same size footers. That is Kallio's 4th this game. He's got all of them, and what an angle that one was as well.
Well, that's a triple threat. You never know who's going to be the goal scorer for that game. They just assign one at the start. It's kind of like Mafia, where you just have the one scoring the goal every single time, other than a little bit different. And then Unko, you might be able to get it past and break that kind of deadlock of games. Psycho, or deadlock of goals being scored by one person. As Rotterdam, they are looking incredibly strong once again. I don't know what happened to them when they fell off for those 2 games, as they are in such a commanding position in this one.
Yeah, it really is, as they look like they could have had a 5th there, but Portsmouth really looking like a shell of them for themselves. I just think this game could so easily have gone differently, Hyperia. You know, Portsmouth had them 2 great opportunities to pull ahead. Neither of them went in, and Rotterdam, they were the ones who were clinical and under pressure. That is what is going to matter. Mercy, again, looking to shift the momentum there. The car change did actually work last time for a couple games, to be fair. And there's another fact that I was going to point out, is that one was 10 shots to 3 in favor of Rotterdam. How the tables have turned again, but last time one of these teams won 4-0, it did not work out quite well for them the next game.
And this doesn't necessarily bode well for Erasmus, but at the same time, that is only if you look at what happened previously. Realistically, this is looking incredibly solid for Rotterdam. They've now put themselves on match point. Even though the card change did somewhat work last time, they didn't necessarily get off to the greatest start. So the card change, I don't know whether it's going to be enough of a motivational boost. I do like that Mercy is like every single time they lose, oh yeah, the card effect has worked off now, and I'm going to swap to a new one, completely turn everything around again.
I mean, to be fair, he waited till they lost 2 in a row this time. Clearly building up that mental fortitude there after the back-to-back losses that puts Erasmus Esports Rotterdam 1 game away from that upper final. 1 game away from top 3 in EURC minimum, and 1 game away from the prize pool. And of course, a reminder, in the previous 2 EURCs, Portsmouth have been eliminated from the competition by, guess who? Rotterdam themselves, as that is not a coincidence. This may be an upper bracket, it may not be an elimination matchup, but it will certainly be sending Portsmouth down to the lowers, and you have to think they might just start seeing ghosts, because it seems like they're being haunted by Rotterdam and EURC right now.
Yeah, Rotterdam always coming back to bite you at the worst possible moment. But that being said, Portsmouth, they are not out just yet. This is only game number 6, and they could just bring it to that game number 7. Last time that didn't bode well, that didn't end well for a Dutch team whatsoever. But that is also looking at history, as right now, the history of Rotterdam's passing plays has been immaculate. Can't quite finish it right now, but I do like that they're trying every single time and getting a decent success rate with it.
Yeah, they really are. As that being said, Portsmouth have had a couple glimpses, as we say. It's looking better for them. I mean, their win rate currently, when not scoring the first goal, is exactly 0%. And so if you're a Portsmouth fan, you do not want to see them going down, as it seems like Rotterdam really have found a way to just hold on and solidly defend these Portsmouth periods of offense. Though for how long will that be the case? Mercy, again, uncharacteristically unclinical.
And you do have to think as well, if Portsmouth do end up losing this one, they'll drop to the lower bracket and be up against which probably will be Bournemouth. So you don't want to lose this. The lower bracket doesn't really get that much easier. Just they just shut out Maxio. Psycho just clears it out. And what can they do? Well, the counterattack. Mercy just whips it to the backboard where Calio is just patiently waiting. So Psycho incredibly far back in defense, a position that he's been in relatively often, and that is, I think, the difference mainly when Rotterdam are feeling it. They don't have that backward position whatsoever, and they're just going all out aggro. The Psycho, he does have some mean mechanics on him, can't quite force him through.
Yeah, so is it confusing you as much as it's maybe confused the Erasmus Esports Rotterdam defense there, though? They managed to just about get it away from that net. Mercy has had a couple chances to a name, and I don't like to highlight it, but I do think he really was expecting to have scored at least one of the chances he'd had, and I only pointed out because we saw a similar thing last game, of course, and it ended up biting Portsmouth in the rear as the game went on, as he's got another one here, but not really a clean-cut chance. He didn't have boost in Calio with a free challenge. Maxio, his flick, going to be solid, but not on target. Is Onko, is it his turn to put on the scoring shoes? It doesn't seem so far, as rather tensely so, we've got to half-time without a goal.
Yeah, this is once again looking to be an incredibly close game. There's no real games that have been kind of the middle ground where both teams score a decent amount, but that in the end one comes out. It's either 1-goal games, or literally only 1 goal gets scored, or pretty much blowouts, I feel like.
Yeah.
So that is posing up to be the exact same case. So this doesn't quite go far corner, but it got incredibly close. Psycho with an absolute rocket down the other end. Maxio is far back enough, and Psycho comes in for a second goal, finishes off. Thank you very much. Portsmouth in the lead.
That was such a good touch from Maxio, but he couldn't quite find the double, and Mercy finds Psycho in such a predator position there. He would never have been stopped, and his shot tucked away at the near post. Erasmus tried hard to keep out Portsmouth, but it wasn't going to last forever, and finally they strike first.
Let's see what they can actually do from behind. Rotterdam, they don't necessarily have a great track record, as once again Psycho can just rip a shot with a little bit of interference out of Onko. Reiko picking that up in the center. No word out of him as of right now. Onko, absolute boomer down the other end. From midway line, Psycho getting in the way once again. That backwards rotation, or that defensive rotation, proving to be incredibly useful. Infield pass not finding its way to Onko. And at that point, sometimes you do have to go for the solo plays on the side of Rotterdam.
Yeah, they do want to mix it up, as if Portsmouth do get a wind of the passing plays happening consistently, then they start to adapt. It's always important to keep it mixing up to make yourself really just more unpredictable as a team and harder to play against, as that touch infield, though it certainly wasn't intentional, gives the Portsmouth defense quite the little panic, as Rotterdam are begging for any loose ball right now, like that one, though a little too good, a little too quick from Mercy for that offense, as they're into the final minutes, still needing an equaliser. The Dutch University, will they find one here? No. Psycho's touch just gracefully taking it away under high pressure, and could he get one at the other end of the field? No. Onko, he is there to make the touch away to the side, as Rotterdam do still have time to work with, though Portsmouth, they're threatening on the counter as well.
And they're threatening on the counter. They only have 30 seconds on the side of Erasmus to try and pull this level. No long shot going in. Reiko, he's looking a little bit stumped. I've seen him in position where I very much question what he's currently doing. Currently, he's getting a phenomenal block on it, and is actually able to continue it for a brief moment with absolutely no boost in the tank. 10 seconds remain. Rotterdam have to start from their own defensive half. Maxio at the forefront of it, gets it past one. Reiko is up very early, and if he puts this in, indeed he does, we have a Game 7.
We certainly do have a Game 7, barring some supernatural freak of nature couple kickoff goals. Reiko, as you say, comfortably tucking that one into the open net. You can't really blame Rotterdam for leaving it open at that point. They needed something to happen, and they needed something to happen there and then. And once again, the card change somehow paying off for Portsmouth. They will force a Game 7, and I talked about it here earlier on in the series. I said if the series goes on, I do think it will favour Portsmouth. It certainly hasn't convincingly so, but we'll see it decided here, as I'm sure we'll be headed to Champions Field there. Big performance from Psycho in that game. Just 2 shots on the board for Rotterdam, as we talked about them maybe being more consistent, and you described Portsmouth as a little bit wavy coming into the series, Iberia. But I think it's fair to say both teams have been on quite the roller coaster of form just about within this one series.
Yeah, it's been an absolute roller coaster indeed, and now we have a game 7 to top it all up. As I said previously, this doesn't necessarily bode well for Dutch teams, but currently Erasmus, they have something to prove, not only for themselves, but for their country in general. And I feel like all the universities from a country, they are warring with each other every single time until they're the only ones left, and everybody cheers them on. So I'm sure all the Dutch fans are rooting for Erasmus right now, but it is going to be such a difficult task to break through a confident Portsmouth side, and especially a side with Mercy who just swapped cars.
Indeed, that is 2 series out of 2 so far today. The Dutch University has come out the loser. Erasmus Esports Rotterdam, massive pressure on them here in this upper bracket to just break that trend here on Champions Field, as it was back-to-back game 7s for us here. Portsmouth are the ones coming in hot.
Yeah, that was a little bit soft though from Reiko. I was expecting a goal to be happening right there, because I think it was Maxio, final defender back, just looking incredibly awkward and didn't really know what to do. Onko, he doesn't know what to do right there, gets a good 50. Maxio looking for the pre-flip into the ball, can't quite find it. Now it's Kallio taking over. Can he find Onko in the center? It's a good bomb, or at least a good force to get Psycho out of the way. Then Kallio backflips it over one Mercy. He still has a lot of boost to work with, gets it past Maxio, but good communication out of Rotterdam will very much evade that attack. Might be able to kickstart one of their own as they get shut down early. I think that goal is completely open. It was for a brief moment. Reiko can't place it on target. Kallio also can't though.
Yeah, Onko was back in decent time there, as the tension and our heart rates, I fear, I'm not sure we can handle another long, stable 0-0 going late into this game, but who knows what the players have in store here. They're bracing themselves as well. Maxio surely can't reach that second touch and put it on target. He's done a decent job of it, using the ceiling here, moving that Portsmouth defense about, trying to waste their boost and doing a good job of it. They are. Mercy has to stretch for this one though, acrobatically off that post, and another save as well. Huge plays from Mercy there, getting Portsmouth some much needed breathing room, as Reiko is the one required now. Rotterdam certainly in a higher gear than last game though, an uncharacteristically strange pinch there from Onko ends up being a decent back pass, weirdly enough, as Psycho there just spinning with that ball like a basketball player there on his finger as it's towards the backboard, but Reiko again rising up to make that defensive stop, as it is quite end-to-end right now.
And that is exactly why I'm scared if this does end up going to overtime. If this goes to overtime, it's going to be end-to-end. There's no real big midfield battle. It's all being played in either side. Yeah. That midfield not really getting utilized that much. No team really taking control of this series, as Onko, it does take control of the ball. It is able to get a little bit of a dribble pass too. Psycho still gets in the way, and that defensive play out of Psycho once again proves to be useful. Rotterdam committing 2 players to this one is not going to bode too well for them, as they do get a relative amount of them on the clear, but it doesn't really get that far as Psycho pops that right back in. And this is what I mean, end to end right now. Maxio actually looking for the touch to get it on target, or the fake even. Now Onko, can he get it on target? It's a clear out of Psycho.
A huge save there from the crossbar from Reiko, diving across that Portsmouth Paladins net there and keeping their clean sheet so far in Game 7. And we were worried about the long time 0-0, and it seems like we're going to get it. Can Kallio put it away? No, couldn't quite get over the ball. That shot towards the bottom corner. Mercy gonna make the save, and Portsmouth continuing to hold on here. They need to break out. They can't hold off the pressure forever. The shot from Reiko, he can't get around it. This touch up over the defender. Maxio headbutts the crossbar. Kallio off the backboard, and Rotterdam likewise gonna hold on. As we say, literally no midfield game. The aggressive demo from Onko, he headbutts the Portsmouth post this time. The violence is coming out. Can Mercy get the redirect? No. Kallio is out of position, and he's gonna get away with that one. It's still 0-0 in this Game 7. Next goal could easily send the scoring team to top 3.
This is already ridiculous to lack. So I'm already half of the 50% enjoying this and 50% I'm having a grueling time, especially since that last game where another Dutch team actually might be able to put it in the smoke, the fog of war. We do come out away from the goal, and Psycho might actually be able to put it in towards the opposing side once again. End-to-end
Raiko!
And indeed he finishes it off. 1 minute left to go, and Rotterdam have to try and make the comeback.
Maxio made the save but couldn't keep it away from the net, and Kallio off the inside of his goal. Raiko smartly spots it, bounces it underneath him there, as Rotterdam will be wondering how on earth they haven't scored a goal this game, and boy, they are going to need one in the next 50 seconds. But Portsmouth, they nearly doubled their advantage here. The game 7 is going down to the wire. Kallio trying to get the ball deep into the Portsmouth end, but the UK University here, they've already seen 2 of their comrades do it this day already. They're just holding on to this lead. All they need to do is park the bus for 30 more seconds, but Rotterdam looking for the bump. No, the save out of Psycho. 3 Portsmouth players around the net here. Could they be able to do this? Could they hold on? But Kallio is he's got no more boost. He's just handed them the ball back. But that 50 in the midfield also going to go Portsmouth's way. Mercy with a challenge, penning them in their end. Erasmus might only get one more chance here.
And they really have to move right now. Maxio can't quite find his way through as there's 5 seconds left on the clock. This is probably going to be territory of keep the ball up to the best of your ability. But Rotterdam, they're on the verge of being knocked to the lower bracket as it gets put to the backboard. Mercy having the follow-up touch, deciding to keep it up. Raiko also deciding to do so. Now Kallio, he doesn't manage to catch it. Rotterdam, they've just literally and figuratively dropped the ball to the ground, and Portsmouth come out victor in game number 7.
Drop the ball, the perfect saying of the series. Portsmouth clutch it up by 1 goal and by 1 game. 4-3 is the scoreline. We've had 3 series today, and 3 times the UK University has dropped down, or even in some cases knocked out the Dutch University, and I did not think I would be saying that today. Portsmouth, certainly underdogs coming in, but Sigmoid was spot on with his prediction. Erasmus being severely tested for the first time in a while, and they fought well, but just being bested out slightly there. It will be Portsmouth who move on to the winners final of EURC 2021. Their play, the winner of Berlin Phoenix against the Berlin Basilisks. Rotterdam, they will drop down and have to fight their way through the lower bracket.
I guess at this point, UK is just forcefully segregating themselves from the EU, just knocking everybody out and away from themselves. That's one way to go as well. If the negotiations don't go well, just use force forehead. It's very simple. And Erasmus, they're gonna have to fight from the lower bracket now.
Yeah.
But they look so incredibly strong, and I wouldn't be surprised if we do see them end up with some prize money collected.
Yeah, I think they'll be playing the winner of Salford, who play the winner of Beckett against Essex. A incredibly stacked lower bracket. No matter what, they will have to play another UK University there in them lower quarterfinals. Of course, no matter what, they'll be appearing on finals day. That is the 25th of April. Of course, we'll see you there. There's a huge amount of games still yet to be played in this bracket, but more teams have been said goodbye to. We said goodbye to Tilburg today in Game 7 against the Bournemouth Barracudas, now UK champions. And of course, we said goodbye to the Groningen Fair Play Martinis. We'll break down all the results and the upcoming games here. Back on the panel, of course, with our stuff. And it's been a fantastic broadcast. Like I say, we'll break it down after the break, and we'll see you then.
for the final time tonight. Welcome back to the EURC desk. After another disappointing loss for a Dutch team, this time Erasmus Rotterdam will of course stay in the tournament. They will drop down to the lower bracket, but Portsmouth Paladins have secured themselves a spot in the top 3, heading towards our finals day on Sunday the 25th of April, and we are joined by Psycho from the victorious Portsmouth Paladins. It's got to feel pretty good to win your first series in playoffs, Psycho. Congrats.
Yeah, definitely. It was pretty nervy, that's for sure, given that it was taken to game 7. See, I can't even talk. It's fantastic. It's Game 7. Yeah, it's pretty damn scary.
Yeah, you clutched it, and those 2 series in a row that went all the way to Game 7. But we'll talk a little bit more about those series. We'll focus in on your series first, and I'll pass you over to Typheria to see if he has any quick questions for you about how it all went down.
Well, it was very much a series of Erasmus Rotterdam having pretty much continuous pressure on your side. How did you guys manage to deal with that and really keep up the momentum on your side as well?
I feel like at the start of the series, it was a very different Rotterdam to the Rotterdam that played at the end of the series. So in the first 2 games, we were like, okay, we need to start like pounding their backboard because they're quite like nervous when it comes to dealing with pressure. And then there was like just some point where they just snapped and they started doing like crazy counterattacks and they were just connecting really well. So the strategy completely changed. It went from, instead of being hyper aggressive, just be as passive as you possibly can on defense. So we just kind of sat there and let them boom the ball to us. And yeah, their demos were really scary as well. Like there were so many times where we could have conceded, but somehow didn't concede. So yeah, that was just the strategy, and somehow it just worked, I guess.
Fair. It's interesting to hear as well, you know, that you were actually thinking about the strategy shifts up during the match as well, because, you know, a lot of the time we get players on and things have changed in the series, but they be hard pushed to actually articulate it. Is that something Portsmouth, is that something you actively look to do to adapt to what your opponents are doing during the series?
I think like it comes to a point in a series and you sort of like you look back you reflect on the goals you've conceded, and then you think of how you can like get around that. So I think it was kind of natural for all of us just to say our piece after the games we had lost, and we sort of just came to a joint conclusion that we needed to play a bit more passive when it comes to defense, just sit back, let them boom balls, and when it comes to the offense, just keep pounding them with pressure for when you're actually there, which is a rare occasion.
When you actually manage to break out of that half passive defense, it doesn't lead to many chances up at the other end of the pitch.
Yep.
Of course, Sigmund, you were also watching that series. Any thoughts?
Yeah,
any questions?
Green was very, very exciting. Now, you mentioned playing passive, but we noticed you getting a little nervy. Do you feel you need to have more faith in Raiko heading into your next series, which is likely to be against Berlin?
I think Raiko put up a really good series, but it was obvious that all 3 of us were playing pretty nervous, because if you're lacking in pressure or you're lacking in offense, like we were for the majority of that series, what we thought we needed to do was to be more aggressive to get shots on. So it was natural for us to just start throwing ourselves at balls and being really not protective of our own defense. And that's when we came to the decision that was like the complete opposite direction to where we needed to go. So I think for future, we need to be more passive when it comes to our defense, and we need to be more trusting of having that clean rotation. So, yeah.
Nice to hear it. And again, I'll reiterate it. It's really nice to hear a team that knows what they have to do in a series and is able to speak their mind towards the tactics, because it's been a rare thing on these desks, even if we have had some very entertaining interviews along the way throughout this tournament. And I think we can move on quickly and just look at some of the 2 other matches that happened today. And Psycho is going to stick around with us to break some of those down. And I think we have to jump straight back to the previous match, before year 1, Bournemouth versus Tilburg United, another English-Dutch matchup that went all the way to 7 games. And Hypheria, I'm going to throw it to you, because you were the only caster on the desk who specifically called out that it was actually likely to be a closer series. And I mean, look, you may have said Tilburg just for the Dutch pride on that one, but you were also the only person who predicted Tilburg, and they really did put up a good fight there.
Look, my powers are not to be messed around with. When I predict very close to being correct. And no, it was incredibly close, and I did very much enjoy watching that series. It was an absolutely phenomenal one. obviously a little bit gutted that Tilburg did lose in the Game 7 overtime of 5 after 5 minutes, but the caster very much overpowers that and says Game 7 overtime doesn't really matter who wins at that point. We've had a phenomenal series there. And unfortunately, that it was actually the lower brackets. So Tilburg, after putting up such an amazing performance against one of the maybe even favorites of this tournament, they are completely out.
Yeah, they're gone, completely gone. And Psycho, I mean, this was a match that kind of had particular relevance to Portsmouth, right? Because you guys got the bye over Bournemouth. I mean, I guess the first question is, would you guys have felt confident going up against Bournemouth last week? Do you think you could have taken them? And then if you dropped to the lower bracket, I mean, Tilburg with the form they were in, do you even think you could have taken them? Is there a chance that Portsmouth could have been out instead of top 3 right now?
I've no idea, honestly. There's every chance we could have been knocked out ages ago. There's every chance that we could make finals and win it all. Like, there's so many series that are just like, they will blow your mind by how they go, just because teams play in a way you don't expect. So Tilburg have done crazily well. I think I was rooting deep down for Tilburg because I think that Bournemouth, when they're playing well, has more potential. But when it comes to like actually playing in competition, things are a bit different. So yeah, Tilburg did seriously well, but going forward, it's probably a good thing that Bournemouth did win because it's all, you know, everyone expects it.
Bit of UK pride there as well. You know, you got to back the boys from your country. And look, at the same time, you're right. I was kind of deep down rooting a little bit for Tilburg as well because they had the fairy tale story. Sigmund, they were 8-0 coming into the series. They were so close to just looking so good. They come out of nowhere.
Bournemouth didn't really deserve to win that series, I don't think. The number of leads they almost threw, the stupid goals they gave away, Cloud's whiffs, just plaguing them throughout the entire series, and yet they scraped to win in Game 7 overtime. And are now very likely to progress into finals day.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we had the end of the desk last week, and everyone said if Bournemouth won that, you know, they were likely to be the ones from that half of the bracket to progress all the way into that finals day. And now they will be up against FHDW Esports or ULB. And I tend to agree with you. I think Bournemouth, with how they've played, with how those two teams have played as well, are probably favoured in that matchup. But listen, you guys might not remember it because it was 2 whole 7-game series and 2 Game 7 overtimes ago. But there was actually another series tonight. And another Dutch team dropped out of our lower bracket again. We'll leave Hyperio alone for a second as he comes to terms with that fact. But it was the second Groningen team who dropped out. It was Mojitos last week, Martinis this week, and Sigmund Salford Lions. They knocked out your precious Loughborough. But they're looking strong now in this lower bracket. You know, they could continue to make a bit of a run here.
I did say, I think if Loughborough won that series against Salford, they could make top 4. I think I even said that on Tylacta's stream. Reality is, Salford are now going to have a series against either Beckett or Essex, which they can definitely take if they can sweep Martini. And then they have Erasmus. That's more of a flip, but they can almost definitely make top 4 as well. And then what happens from there is kind of up to how the bracket plays out with Bournemouth and Basilisk sort of facing off on that upper part of the lower bracket.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. And listen, I fear I've given you enough time to grieve just there. I think 30 seconds is more than enough, right? But it's 2 Groningen teams out in 2 weeks. So it's Erasmus Rotterdam down to the bottom half of the table. And the Dutch teams genuinely did start out really strong. It was them and the German teams that were really, I think, in everyone's mouths coming out of the group stage as well. We're down now to just a single Dutch team left in the tournament. I didn't expect Martinis to drop out, I think, at this stage, but it just maybe goes to show the quality of the teams that are left.
Yeah, I'm glad that it really shows the quality, but I must say that the Dutch teams also have been having a really rough time with matchups.
Yeah,
throughout this entire ordeal, basically. Obviously, the other Groningen team facing Tilburg when they were in absolute top form, and now facing Salford. But at the same time, you can't really say that they deserve to make it through since they both got swept out in the lower brackets.
It's a rough way to go.
Exactly, it is very rough, but I don't necessarily think it's undeserved. It's unfortunate, but hey, that is how the cookie crumbles, and sometimes you just have to go home, regroup, and hopefully come back stronger next time.
Yeah, fingers crossed. And of course, there is always another next time. There's always another EURC to come back to, and plenty of these players getting more experience. You know, they'll get more chances in the future, you have to hope. But look, what we're going to do is move on, I think, to some of Wednesday's games as well. And Psycho, I'm actually going to come back to you here as well, because one of the first games we're having on Wednesday, two games we're having on Wednesday, will feature 2 more English squads. And I'd love to know your thoughts on the Beckett Bears versus the Essex Blades. Winner will be playing up against those Salford Lions. And I think either way, set to be 2 decent matches to come out of that bottom half of the bracket.
Yeah, I genuinely have no idea who's going to win that series. Like, both of them have had their peaks outside of EURC. Both of them are incredibly strong. I think I would back Essex to win the series, but Beckett have had loads of really strong performances in the past as well. So, yeah.
Definitely. And then coming up against the Salford Lions, I mean, obviously swept the Groningen Fair Play Martinis today. Do you think Salford probably then just romp through whoever wins? It's kind of a moot point who wins that lower bracket matchup, or can they genuinely give Salford a challenge then after that?
You can give Salford a challenge, but the problem is with Salford is they're the most consistent team in history. They don't make mistakes. They don't throw away stupid goals that you've been mentioning whenever they happen. They just don't. So Essex or Beckett have to be on their best defense ever to even stand a chance. So yeah, probably Salford slaps them, honestly.
Yeah, that seems fair. And I do see Sigmund scratching his chin. He doesn't seem entirely sure about that. I will remind you that Loughborough have lost repeatedly to Salford at this point before you say anything you might regret.
Anyone remember Newell finals at all? No. Same roster that played tonight. 4-2, 4-0, easy dubs. I don't think Salford are as consistent as people making out. They lost 5 consecutive games to Bournemouth just on Saturday night. Now, admittedly, Bournemouth were looking real hot that evening, but I don't think they're as consistent as Psycho is making out. And I think Beckett, who have been looking incredibly strong, at least in Europe, at least have a shot at it. And Essex have been tearing up the playoffs bracket as well. So maybe they have a shot. I mean, I feel like it's definitely more favourable for Beckett.
Yep, I think that seems potentially reasonable. We will keep our eyes on that matchup. And Hyperi, I'm wondering, do you have anything else to add about the British matchup down in the bottom line, the British Bonanza? Or would you prefer to move over to the FHDW versus ULB matchup as our other marquee matchup on Wednesday?
I'll move over to the FHDW, give the Germans and the Belgians some love instead of just, UK, NSC, yeah, we're so great. Nah, we're moving on. We're having other people in the spotlight, right? It's not just
exactly.
It's not just England right here. So FHDW versus Brazil. It's going to be very interesting as Brazil, they have been a very weird team to me that at times they show up massively, aka sweeping Dusseldorf last week, and at other times having the weirdest series against York that I still can't quite place my finger on. So it's very, very weird. And honestly, if I had to make a prediction, I just wouldn't. I just walk away from the cast, to be honest.
That's probably the right thing to do. ULB, they were, that only team to qualify with the negative game record out of groups. As much as we've harped on it, it is still kind of impressive how far they've come since then, and they will be up against an FHDW Sigmoid that have kind of looked like they're in a little bit of a slump ever since the group stage. They've lost. They just about beat Engine Stuttgart, who were playing with a sub. They then got swept by Erasmus Rotterdam. This could be a tough matchup for FHDW. We could see ULB getting all the way to that matchup with Bournemouth.
And this is the FHDW side that's just come off a sweep against Erasmus, who are not as hot as I guess they've been made out to be, losing in that game 7 to Portsmouth. So,
are you going to insult our guest like that? Tell him that the team he had to go all the way to 7 games with isn't actually all that hot.
I did say before the series they were overrated.
That's true. You did say it. Yeah. Psycho.
I mean, they're still a solid side. They deserve to be top 6 in Europe.
Yeah.
But they're not, finals material like I think I originally predicted. FHDW, I think, do lose this series because Brussels are hot, spicy. They swept Dusseldorf, which was entirely unexpected. That was
hugely.
Yeah, a third seed from the group going out. In fact, that seems to be. Yeah, that was actually a running theme throughout that round where the team that lost in the upper bracket actually just went straight out of the competition. But goes without saying, Brussels are super strong, are in form, and FHDW is neither of those.
Yeah, I think that seems fair enough based off past performance, and really that's most of what we have to go off here as well. You were talking maybe there, Erasmus not as hot as they were. I think, Psycho, you've just played up against them. You're probably the most qualified to speak to their form. Does that feel like a team that, team that lost in a sweep to them wouldn't feel too bad about, that you could feel okay about in the future?
Yeah. I think Rotterdam are, on paper, a seriously good team. So all three of the guys on their team we've all heard of pretty well. Me and Mercy have heard of. They're constantly queuing ranks. They're constantly grinding themselves individually, and they've come together as a team now. So on paper, they are like easily top 6 material, and I think they're fully capable of, just making a good run through lowers.
Yeah, fingers crossed we'll see that. Of course, as we mentioned, Erasmus Esports Rotterdam already locked into that top 6. They will be showing up on Championship Day on Sunday the 25th of April, no matter what happens. And of course, you've locked yourself in there as well. But when you get there, it's going to be a matchup, Psycho, that's probably, I think if we were all betting men, we'd probably bet on it being the Berlin Phoenixes that are going to be coming up against you. That match between the Berlin Phoenixes and the Basilisks Berlin to decide who your opponent is going to be will take place next Monday alongside our 2 lower round of 4 matches. Like I say, it's likely to be the Berlin Phoenixes. We heard in an interview last week their goal is to sweep the tournament from here on out. I mean, how are you guys feeling if you have to go up against them, or the team that manages to stop them? Because I mean, if Berlin Basilisks win that, they're now the team that beat the Berlin Phoenixes.
You have a lot less nerves if you're an underdog. So especially if you're going into a game against Phoenix, you're probably going to perform a lot better than if you're performing against a team that you're expecting to beat easily. So honestly, it's probably, should be fine.
Yeah, fingers crossed. And I suppose I fear at this end of the tournament as well, we are seeing playoff nerves do seem to be kicking in for some of these teams as well. You know, that's why we're maybe seeing some of these underperformances along the way. Berlin Phoenix are now definitely at the stage of the tournament where they could be upset, and that nerves potentially maybe to mount, maybe getting to them a little bit more.
I wouldn't say so, purely because, well, 2 of the players in Berlin Phoenix are LCS players, so I don't necessarily think that they're going to feel too much pressure from a uni tournament. But that being said, there in history has been a divide in Berlin, so I'm glad that once again we can revisit that. And, well, I'm not too glad actually, but we get to revisit and we get to once again see who comes out on top. And honestly, you just can't back Basilisk Berlin if you're not biased.
Yeah, I think it'll be a little bit rough to do so, but it is still, I think, going to be a good matchup. Basilisk Berlin, you know, we could talk about Berlin Phoenix all night. They are kind of clearly coming into the tournament. They were the favourites, but Basilisk Berlin have had a strong run to make it to this matchup. You know, 4-2 in their 2 previous matchups, knocked out those Groningen and Fair Play Mojitos into the lower bracket, and Sigmoid, they're not without a shout. They definitely are one of the strongest teams left in the tournament. They have also locked their spot in the top 6 by now, so are you expecting them to at least, you know, push Berlin Phoenix, maybe take a game?
No, I'm sorry, but
it's a rough life, isn't it?
Yeah. I've been watching Berlin Phoenix for coming up on a year now, and I don't think I've seen them drop a series with their full roster once. So I guess the only chance that any other team has is if either Tigray or Nagflow isn't playing.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But of course, I mean, look, even if, but look, it's fine, because even if Berlin Basilisks drop, Psycho, you and the boys managed to sweep them in the group stage, reverse sweep them, I should say, in the group stage as well. So in theory, you're the better bet for a betting man against Berlin Phoenix.
Berlin Phoenix are sweeping them, for sure. 100%.
Okay. Fair enough. Glad to hear it. I'm glad we're probably all on the same page of that. Reminder that will happen on Monday. The next games that we have coming up will be our remaining 2 lower bracket round of 12 matchups between FHDW Esports and ULB and the Beckett Bears versus Essex Blades. Those will be kicking off this Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. BST, 9 p.m. CET. And if I haven't got those times right, I'm sure someone in Twitch chat will be shouting at me right now. Anyway, following matchups will be on the next Monday. We will have our championship things, the whole of EURC coming to a head on Sunday, the 25th of April. And that will definitely be one you don't want to miss. Thank you very much for joining us, Psycho. Thank you very much to my 2 panelists. And it's a very good night to all of you.